Welcome to Ronin Geek Official Podcast, where we break down the hottest franchises in gaming, movies, and TV, analyze the essence of each, and discuss their strengths and weaknesses. The question we're looking to answer: do these franchises stay true to their roots? Do they hold up against the test of time?
I think we're just judgmental bastards. We're old judgmental people. We're like, these franchises weren't what they used to be.
These damn kids nowadays and they're Harry Potters. Like that's.
I like how you just went. What's his name? I mean, this is gonna get a little rough, but the president who got shot.
JFK.
JFK.
Yeah.
We choose to do this not because it is easy, but because it is Harry Potter.
That is so accurate to this topic. So not because it's easy, and I would imagine if there was one topic that was going to catch us a lot of flack at all, it would be Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
So it's something people are very passionate about. People they love the Harry Potter. They love the characters. They grew up on it in some cases.
Yeah.
So we were a little bit too old to grow up on it. Unfortunately, I think
no, I feel like I was there.
2001.
Yeah, 2001. I was in grade 8.
Okay, so yeah, you could have potentially then, yeah.
Yeah,
so
I grew up because I read Philosopher's Stone. I air quotes read Philosopher's Stone when I was in grade 6.
Wait. I'm from the U.S. What the hell are you talking about? Philosopher's Stone? What in God's name is that?
You know what's funny is I was watching, in prep for this, I was watching a video that talked about that. I knew about that.
Yeah.
But I sat there and they keep bringing this up and it's a joke. It's a common joke about the Philosopher's Stone, the Sorcerer's Stone. And I kept thinking...
the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah, that book. Yeah. I kept thinking, I don't ever remember it being called Sorcerer's Stone. Then I realized, right, I'm in Canada. It was only the Sorcerer's Stone in the U.S., not North America, in the U.S.
Yeah. So, the big wigs at WB, they were like, these American kids are not going to go for anything about a philosopher. It's not going to fucking happen. Like, who do they think is going to walk in? Aristotle? Like, this is stupid. So then they came up with sorcerer. Like, these kids, they're into sorcerers. We're going all in on sorcerer. Plus, the good thing about sorcerer as opposed to philosopher is sorcerer definitely... I'm sure at the time that got them into the mainstream media as like, this is like satanic panic, parents hating on Harry Potter bullshit. Like, I bet that got their foot in the door on that.
Oh, I bet, but I always thought it weird that they decided to go that route because I figured philosopher was less about the satanic panic stuff. So therefore, I would have expected to go the other way around because it felt less what people would hate.
If we've learned anything about my people since then, is they're wildly hostile toward things like logic and philosophy and follow through and any kind of sort of.
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah, us people. Yeah, my people. So that's it's true though. So 'cause I'm a dual. Anyway, before we get to that, I should mention today is the first day. If you're watching on the YouTube, we're officially going to be on video. Hi. So I'm very excited about this development because this is officially, we're calling this episode 200 of Ronin Geek Official Podcast.
Yes.
Whereas, honestly, it's been much longer than, I think we're up to like 230 episodes or so.
Yeah, but we have a lot of like unnumbered, side project type stuff.
And there is virtually no rhyme or reason to which ones we number, which ones we don't. Very little anyway. Very little. It's metastasized into something that's more organized because of digital love and raised by spoilers and things like that. But anyway, it's good to be on video. So hello, how are you doing? If you're watching, thank you for watching. So I really appreciate it. So on our future YouTube channel that's not currently running. So that's, hello. Actually, we have one. I have to figure out the password. And
by the time you find this on YouTube, it'll have been running.
So there you go. You will have already heard this. You don't even need to watch it.
Yeah.
So congratulations. So anyway, without further ado, we'll dive a little bit into Harry Potter. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this in the context of all the media that it has released on. So obviously the movies for us are going to be a huge formative part of that.
Yeah.
Maybe for yourself, the books are going to be huge. For me, the first 2 books, maybe. That's
honestly, I think for like most people, it was mostly the movies, but only the first 3 books for me.
Oh, yeah, it was only the first 2 for me.
Fair enough.
So short attention span. It's a problem.
Actually, I would say first 5 books for me. Up until the last book I actually read, I just put my cards out on the table here.
Yeah,
was Order of the Phoenix.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
very
that was in high school.
And so certainly a lot of content to cover there. And then I also have the games page up as well. So we'll cover off the games media as well. And this is of course right on the heels. No, right on the fourth, right on the
cusp.
Yeah, right on the cusp. I like that. That's perfect. Of the release of another Harry Potter video game, which is kind of why we're doing this topic now, which is going to end up being Hogwarts Legacy, looking pretty slick, and it comes out.
I absolutely love that this is probably one of the best looking Harry Potter games to date. And yet it's just like the rest of Harry Potter. It's got drama written all over
Oh,
it.
100%. 100%. We'll get into some of the drama around it as well. But first, let's pay it its due, because as a franchise, Harry Potter has touched the hearts and minds of many a youth for some time now. The books originally released, when was the first book officially released? 95, 96, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, in the mid-90s. So this is, of course, J.K. Rowling is the author. A lot of people know her rags to riches stories, just coming from sort of working class society, working her way up based on the success of her books. But at the time, she was working full-time job. She was full-time mom. She was full-time writer. She's doing it all. Ooh. She's doing it all. So goes the story.
You know what? That puts a lot of effort because her writing was low effort. So, you know.
So it's we're adults talking about something that was definitely intended for children.
Oh, yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah.
To begin with.
I do find it funny that, people make fun of it for the logic gaps and stuff. I'm like, you realize this was meant for like children in grade 5 and 6.
Yeah. As adults, we can tell that they put children directly in the line of fire many times in the course of the stories of Harry Potter. So,
this is not legally acceptable behavior.
The children, I'm just thinking of something as simple as like Quidditch. So Quidditch, of course, if you don't know, is this sport they play where they fly around on the brooms and bat this little ball around.
That one, I kind of understand. If we're going to like weird universe stuff, I kind of understand, because the thing is they can just go, oh, you broke your body? Whatever, Spelloramus.
Yeah.
Done. Solved. It's not scary anymore.
Yeah.
There's a difference between that and sending the villain up against Harry as a child.
But they're basically relying on someone's like an ancient wizard's ability to cast Leviosa. As quickly as they can to save a child from falling and breaking their neck.
Well, no, I think if they break their neck, they just go revive. No big problem.
And then there's also the incident with the dragon. So there's the incident with the sort of time travel scenario in the closet. Anyway, a lot of dangerous situations they put children in Hogwarts in particular. So we'll get into all
good life lessons is what I call them.
Good life lessons. Life lessons. I mean, basically about don't die by doing this thing is the life lesson.
I usually consider that's what grade school teaches you anyway, not to put forks in sockets. Just don't die. They teach you not to die on your own. So
that was before we even had the little plastic plugins for light sockets, which we have nowadays. So it's kind of a requirement to have in your house now. Yeah. So anyway, this is about a group of children wizards growing up together. And obviously some of the main characters, title character Harry Potter, the titular character. Then you have Hermione Granger. She would be, her as Emma Watson in the movies, as the female wizard. And then you'd also have Ron Weasley, and all of the Weasleys for that matter. My favorite family name.
Yeah, the Weasleys remind me of the family you sort of married into.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so in many ways, many good ways. And honestly, I absolutely love this content. Just from a personal standpoint, I've always really enjoyed Harry Potter. The movies range, and we'll get into that more in detail, but the movies range from, okay, it's a kid's movie to, wow, this is actually pretty damn good for high fantasy. You know what I mean? So it's a really interesting series in that regard, because there kind of is something for everyone in Harry Potter.
Yeah, I think that's that grow up nature.
Yeah.
Where you start young and then you grow into it older.
Yeah.
So, Star Wars, while it had different kind of themes and darknesses, it was generally meant for the same age the whole way through. This one...
Do you mean the age where you may or may not kill your own dad?
Yeah, okay, that age,
very good.
Generally teenagers. So it had this thing where young kids can watch the first movies and adults can watch the later ones. And if you're really good, you can go all the way through as you grow up.
Yeah. And I think those were the luckiest Harry Potter fans, to be honest with you. So
those are usually the most fervent, which is kind of our ish generation now, a few years before and after.
I will say this, as a Harry Potter fan, and I do count myself among them, I was very late to the party. In fact, I only watched the entire series all the way through the films in 2020.
No way.
During the lockdown, the first time I ever watched them all the way through, and I'll tell you what, I was thrilled that I did, and I look forward to the day that I get to do it again.
That's crazy.
I had a really good time with it. But no, I was obviously something as ubiquitous as Harry Potter. I knew a lot about it already. I knew about all the stories already, the actors, the twists and turns and everything in the films, because it is very ubiquitous with pop culture, right?
Yeah.
But no, it was wonderful kind of getting to watch them through more recently as an adult and kind of understand the gist of what they're trying to put out there, but also being pleasantly surprised by a few of the movies out of the 7 that just really kind of blew my mind that they actually made this.
Prisoner of Azkaban?
Case in point, bada boom, bada bing. So it's, we'll go through all the films, I think, one by one, but man, what a movie.
Yeah.
And they just nailed it. The casting, incredible. They did such a good job with the visual effects. It was in a time when it would have been, very easy for them to rely entirely on CG, because by the third film, they obviously had that ability to do it. They actually relied on a lot of practical effects, up to and including, it's not full stop motion or claymation for the werewolves in that, is it?
No, that's all digital.
It was it? Because it had that kind of feel to it to me.
No, it's all digital. There's no claymation.
They did some really interesting things in it, though, visually, and I'm still surprised, even after years after seeing it now, they actually did that. So
yeah,
anyway,
I love the fact that they built the entire I don't know how to word the Diagon Alley set,
right?
And they maintained it throughout each of the movies,
right?
So it was the same set over and over and over again.
That's so sweet. Yeah, 'cause that's a place they go back to in at least 5 films.
Yeah,
right? So that's extremely.
And
cool.
I absolutely love that set because of all of the different angles. I think their design was no parallel, or no, was it no level lines? No, what do you call it when it's straight up and down?
No, like symmetry, vertical symmetry.
Yeah,
or
whatever.
like that.
Everything was cockeyed and bent over, and it just created this.
It really
awesome
gave it a
feel.
lived-in feel too. Like this had been around for such a long time. You know what I mean? I love that about it. I love that about it. So now the original films, I guess we'll just go ahead and start there because that's kind of the most well-known piece.
Well, I think we have to talk. I think what I want to say real quickly is I don't think it's in any doubt that what truly defined the Harry Potter verse is not the books, but is the movies.
Yeah, and the books, especially toward the last couple there, were blockbuster events. So people were showing up to bookstores, camping outside, waiting for the releases for these books, almost like a new film being released, right?
Yeah.
And this was as the films were coming out as well. They were still releasing books.
Yes.
So they were only a couple of years behind by the time they got to the end of it. But it was impressive in so much as, the books brought in enough fans to kind of pump it up and get people excited about it. And there's still those fans out there who are just experts on the Harry Potterverse. They know everything. Yeah. They know all the storylines that were left out. They know all the details that were left out. Good on them. And then the films came out, and that's what successfully brought in, millions upon millions upon millions more people into this.
It was already hugely famous beforehand, kind of like Lord of the Rings. But I think this was one of those clear evidence of how books are really good breeding grounds for movies.
So interesting. I was just looking at the movies here. So Chris Columbus, director of the first 2 films. So sort of a serial like family and kids movie director over his time. He'd done a lot of stuff. In fact, I was just scrolling down here to his filmography. So Home Alone, big one for him.
That's not his biggest one. There's one on there. I haven't seen. I know it's on the list. I haven't looked.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
No, go up. Go or older.
Goonies.
There you go.
Yeah, baby. Gremlins. Good Lord. So,
mind you, he was just the writer of Goonies.
Yeah. But I would talk about what a great guy to kind of kick this thing off as a director.
Yeah.
So,
I think he kind of, I feel bad for the guy. I don't know whether or not he intends it or not, but obviously he does a lot of movies with children.
Yeah, I think it's fully intended. So it's having heard from Steven Spielberg, who also directed a lot of movies with kids in them as primary actors. It's a unique challenge in film direction. To direct kids, because you have to, as a director, you have to get performances out of your actors, but you also can't always be too hard on children as opposed to like actors.
And not only that, they suck. So you can't just be like, be sad.
Right.
Like, I don't know what sad is. Like, is that the feeling I get when I don't get quite the toy I wanted at Christmas?
Yeah.
No, this is more like the sad when everyone around you has died.
Yeah. Like, have you ever lost a pet, little kid? Like your hamster ever died? So yeah.
I really want you to dig deep down in that feeling of losing your wife and the thing that you love the most in reality. Don't think I have that one.
Boy, looking over this, I really hope for Chris Columbus' sake. I don't know if he's still around, but he probably could do. He was a producer on Jingle All the Way as well.
Yeah. I'm sorry to tell you, but since Harry Potter, as far as I'm aware, he has not created anything good.
It's been downhill. Yeah. I mean, Rent was the adaptation of the stage place. That might be the high spot there. I don't know, unless you're really into Percy Jackson or something.
Okay, those are terrible movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of books though, so it's clear that they probably intended to kick off another Harry Potter verse with him.
They did. They tried. Supposedly those books were good, but no. I think Christopher Columbus was a good choice, especially considering his career was really positive.
Yeah.
Up until the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious that when he was working with the artists and the designers, they clearly created what we know as the look of Hogwarts now.
Oh yeah,
and the look of the Harry Potter universe.
Big time. Yeah.
I forget the name of the artist who did it, but they're clearly the ones who worked together to design it, and everyone took off from that design book.
Yeah. I mean, cinematography was John Seal. Boy, they don't really give you too much information on here, though, in terms of like the art and stuff like that for the development of the film.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you're talking about an entire series, it's hard to memorize every little piece of detail.
And then a lot of the original film was also shot on site, which is cool. In fact, the neighborhood with Harry Potter's aunt and uncle's house, his sort of standoffish, on again, off again, pseudo parent figures in the films, is an actual neighborhood. That's an actual neighborhood, and you could visit that neighborhood.
Yes,
although people live there.
So people lived there when they first did it, and they realized it was a shit show to film there. And they ended up, because they filmed so much of it already on location, at least for the first movie, they ended up mirror matching it as a set.
Yeah.
So they rebuilt it basically as a set.
Yeah.
Just because they got sick and tired of filming at that location.
If I was them, though, if I owned that house, I would just like Airbnb it, but the only room that's complete in the house is like the room under the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd be like, your whole family can stay in a room under the stairs. $10,000 a night.
You would make millions.
Oh, my God. You'd be making money hand over fist. Definite missed opportunity on their part. Yeah, honestly, so the first Harry Potter films, this dropped in 2001. This dropped, believe it or not, the same holiday season as Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. My all-time favorite film. Yes.
Oh, wait, that makes sense because they were both, I was in grade 8 when they both came out.
It was like 2 weeks ahead of Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Isn't that shocking?
I mean, I grant that those are two different viewerships. Those are two different people.
Holy shit, yes, they are. So, because at the time, Harry Potter wasn't even really on my radar. So, to be honest with you. So, at that age. So, I was, what year was this? 2001? So, I was 17. So, and I still remember going to see Fellowship of the Ring with my friends at that time and just being absolutely fucking floored. So, and I had already read Lord of the Rings at that time.
See, and I'm the weird one because I read Harry Potter. Yeah. And I read Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I went to go see both movies.
Hell yeah.
So I was that weird in between where I was old enough to see Lord of the Rings and want to see it, but young enough to still enjoy philosophy.
Fucking reading Rainbow's prime audience over here. reading the book, seeing the film. Look at that, man. So the studios love you. So anyway, this film came to box office with a budget of $125 million. You wouldn't know it by the CG in the film. You wouldn't know it. It made a box office of over $1 billion. Which I don't think that's adjusted for inflation. So realistically, like $1.4 billion. That's a fucking Avengers movie.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So good on them for just making the debut that they needed to make. And I was thinking about this earlier, just kind of comparing because Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring hit theaters around the same time. Did very well for itself. Didn't do $1 billion. No. So, but I was thinking about just the overall quality of that film versus like Harry Potter. Like, I mean, you got, Harry Potter in a Quidditch tournament with the CG of Harry Potter 1 at the same time as you got the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. Night and day in terms of quality of the CG.
You realize why one of them won a bunch of awards.
And one of them still holds up today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It ain't Harry Potter. So it's wild. Like,
I think Harry Potter holds up today as a kid's movie.
Oh, totally.
Like it has that, I don't want to say coming of age because it's only 1 year, but it definitely has the childlike wonder. And I think that childlike wonder is central and key, and it's a soul to Harry Potter. If I'm going to give Harry Potter one of the key factors that defines Harry Potter, it's...
So I just put it on here just so you can see, because I want you to be careful with how much
they
props
can't see
you
that.
give it. It's no. They can't see that. We can see this. And
I think that's pretty good for 2001.
Well, no, they haven't shown anything yet. You gotta wait till they actually show like let's see. Was it this? It was the kids. Here, once they start getting into like the big action shots, it's so low res.
Oh yeah, it's low res, of course.
Yeah. It's just I don't know, man.
I think that looks great.
Okay, well,
for a kids movie, that looks fantastic.
For a kids movie.
For a 2001 kids movie.
Yeah.
Like the Polar Express came out a decade after this.
No.
And it was
No, Polar Express was 2004 because I was working
in
the theaters at that
time.
time.
It's way worse than this.
So wild. Anyway, so I think this looks like shit and we'll move on from it. But good news, this is meant for little kids, so they're not going to have a strong opinion.
Yeah.
So,
No, I thought going back to one of the things that this movie brought, that what the first Harry Potter brought to us, or to be fair, from the books. I think it was very clearly presented from the books, and I think the movies did a good job of presenting the spirit of the books.
Yeah.
while taking out things that were unnecessary and adding things, because
Totally.
shorter runtime, right? You can't fit as much as you can in a book.
Yeah.
So I think they really understood what the book was about. And I think one of those things, and to now, especially when you watch Fantastical Beasts and stuff like that, in my opinion, one of the...
Oh, we do have to talk about that too.
Oh, we will get there.
Oh, boy.
I think one of the key factors is wonderment, is child wonderment. Is no matter how late you go, like what movie you're in, there's always moments of awe, of, wow, I didn't know that was possible. I didn't think about that. And, oh, this is awe-inspiring, especially when you get to the Goblet of Fire and they do the whole Quidditch, like, FIFA.
Yeah.
When you get to that kind of stuff, it's always awe-inspiring. Now, later on, it's awe-inspiring in a dark, scary way.
Yeah.
But there's always moments of wonderment.
Right.
And I think that's a key thing about Harry Potter. I think that's what makes Harry Potter Harry Potter. There must always be a moment of, wow.
Yeah.
This is wild.
Yeah.
I think that's a key important factor.
You're right. And to that point, they did kind of have to keep upending themselves one at a time through each film. You know what I mean? But obviously it was written in such a way they could do that easily. So yeah, the first one was the As I Know It, the Sorcerer's Stone. Definitely a good kickoff for it. Honestly, good overall film, and I think it probably still holds up today, even for the littles. Yeah. So, yeah.
And then the next movie is the weakest of all of them, and yet the longest.
Is it really?
I believe it is,
Yeah. So this is, I thought Prisoner of Azkaban was the longest, but this is Chamber of Secrets.
The movie.
This is the one with the blue flying car.
Yes.
That's all you need to remember about it. So blue flying car. So they're in school, then they're in the neighborhood, then they got to get back to the school, so they fly a car.
Yeah, this is the one with the most plot holes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Generally reviewed as the worst one.
Yeah.
And that's fair. I still to this day think it's the worst one.
Wow. Interestingly, publication date on this was 2nd July 1998. So it's already moving up quite fast.
1998. I would have been 10 years old when that was put out.
Wild. So this film came out.
That's the book. That's the book.
Oh, it's the book. I'm like, why isn't it showing me the box office and stuff? I was so confused because I clicked the wrong column.
Yeah, so that was also from Chris Columbus. He did both.
Here we go. So Chris Columbus did this one as well. Yeah, 161 minutes, huh? 2 hours and 41 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's considered the longest one.
Quite long. Similar budget, 100 mil. Actually, a little bit less of a budget at 100 mil. Interesting. Yeah. And then a similarly lower box office at just a measly $879.8 million. More money than any even Batman film has ever made.
Didn't do as good as the first movie.
Yeah, but didn't do as good. So, but hey, they spent less to get it.
That's true.
Bada boom, bada bing.
I think this is when they also started to go away from on-location shooting because they realized they weren't getting what they wanted with the locations. They weren't getting that fantastical look, and the set designer and like the world designer, he had all these ideas that just the world could not live up to. Yeah. And he kept sort of evolving it through all of these.
It is true that on some level it is cheaper for them just to build the entire facade of a city versus filming in a real city.
I think it was
actually cheaper.
Oh, it's definitely cheaper. I think a lot of it was also it wasn't living up to what they want, what they envisioned in their head. No place in reality could live up to it. Yeah. And that makes sense. I agree with that. They did create a truly fantastical world.
What was the setup for this one? So they missed the train? Was that it?
Yes, basically Harry Potter was grounded at the beginning.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. And Ron broke him out with the car.
Yeah, that's right. And then because they couldn't get through the platform 9 3/4. That's where you'd go to catch the train.
Yeah, they were just a little too late.
Yeah.
So they flew.
So, platform 9 3/4, aka the only platform with an actual steam engine pulling up in like the 1990s or whenever this was supposed to be set.
I still find it weird that there's that many people going through one column.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like
there's
nobody's noticing. Like kids are running in and out, and some people run into it. You know what I mean?
I assume there's like illusions that make it so that those you just don't see those people traveling through. The moment they hit it, you're wiped from. There's a little spell on it that's like immediately as you're a Muggle, it just kind of like the MIB flash.
Yeah, but then if you're security in that train station, you're like, why is this specific column the one that like so many people just run face first into?
Okay. Do you not think that the supervisor, owner, or whatever is a wizard?
Oh, but they never confirmed it in the movie, so I don't know.
No,
is it confirmed in the books?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we don't know who this individual is.
I would assume the owner is a wizard, and the guards could be wizards.
What if it's owned by like a mutual fund, though?
Nah.
The whole place could be owned by like a mutual fund or some other third party.
Listen, the wizards. I never understood the concept of a poor wizard in this universe. So that didn't make any sense to me. So I'm assuming it's owned by a wizard, and everything is owned by a wizard.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. So anyway, they do end up making it back to Hogwarts, but then they gotta find a secret in a chamber somewhere, and that's
Yeah, I think this movie had all the weakest parts.
Yeah.
And it definitely was one of those things where we come back to it like, oh, they set up things that they had no intention of setting up. And then later on, they always come back to this movie as, remember that thing? Look, we totally planned this out. And immediately everyone went, no, you didn't. There's this plot hole. There's this plot hole. There's this plot hole. And it just doesn't make much sense. Like, how did Moaning Myrtle not see Ginny Weasley constantly going in there?
Yes, I remember Moaning Myrtle now. Okay, I was curious if this was the one. So,
None of it made any sense.
Yeah.
And it was also the most danger, in theory, Dumbledore ever willingly put his students
because
through.
if you're a ghost hanging out in the bathroom, guarantee the only thing you're doing on a regular basis is watching people going in there and taking shits.
Well, no one was.
That's just
no one was going in there in that place taking shit because it was haunted by Moaning Myrtle.
Oh, gotcha.
It was an old bathroom that no one touches.
Yeah.
So it's like not only that, but like, okay, they know that the snake is going through the plumbing, yet she didn't notice the snakes. It's like, come on, like there's so many.
It's actually smart business on her part. So you have one bathroom. You cause everyone to fear it, so they all go to a different bathroom. So you're double stacking in another bathroom. You get twice the poops going on. So if it is your goal as a ghost to watch all that shit happening, all that go down, then you would just secretly go to the other bathroom to watch it all.
Yeah.
See, she's thinking that's good business. Actually.
See, and what I find hilarious is let's start a bit of the J.K. Rowling shit train here.
Is this where it starts?
We'll just start it a bit. We'll
at the beginning of the J.K. Rowling shit train?
Yeah, we'll dibble it a bit.
Oh my god!
Which is basically she made a comment afterwards about what happened about plumbing and when did plumbing come in.
Yeah.
And I think her like tweet was something around the lines of the wizards used to just shit in their pants basically and like make it disappear. I forget what the spell she used, and make it just disappear. And I sat there and they're like, how in the world is plumbing an upgrade from that? Why is plumbing an upgrade? Why is the need to go somewhere else, take off your pants, shit, and then have it magically disappear in the tunnel?
I mean, look, here's my thing. So they figured out a bunch of other stuff. They figured out textiles. They figured out like manufacturing on some level. They figured out how to make a steam engine. They did a lot of things. The wizards.
Yeah,
so
why did they need steam engines?
But could they not figure out plumbing?
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just, I'm sorry, but if you could be like, Adam, you can go to Walmart and you can buy pants that the moment you shit and piss, it just disappears into the void.
Oh, I'd be shitting my pants left and right.
I'm like, fuck yeah. Why do I need a toilet in my house?
I'm game.
I'm just 100%. Sitting there on my computer game going,
they can see the face you're making now.
they can see the face.
See it. Oh my god,
just
so excited.
Like a baby, like you know what a baby, you're a dad.
Oh yeah,
they just make that face.
I've seen it. I've seen the poop face.
Yeah. I don't know why that's an upgrade. Clearly, that was one of those clear signs that J.K. Rowling did not plan this in the future, and I think that's one of her smallest sins.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, that's one of her smallest public sins.
Yeah,
which was she made a lot of statements of. I had this planned all along.
Yeah.
Don't fucking lie to me.
She's just dipping her toes in with that stuff. She's just dipping her toes a little bit, just tasting the controversy.
She's clearly a liar. And you can see in all of her interviews, she's like, I had fantastical beats and Dumbledore's life planned out this whole time. Like, bull fucking shit.
Bullshit.
You're a chronic liar. Stop it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, honestly.
No one believes you.
Like, just ridiculous. So I just honestly, and then that's just the beginning. That's just the toe dip of controversy with J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
So we'll get more into that in a bit. So anyway, moving on from this one, there was a basilisk. There was didn't he have to use a sword on that?
Yeah. Okay. The best thing that came from this movie was oh my god, I'm forgetting his name, but Lockhart, the guy who played Lockhart.
Oh yeah. Okay.
One of my favorite actors and directors of all time.
Yeah.
He also did the first, but what's the word I'm looking for? Thor movies.
Gilderoy Lockhart. That was his name. That was his name.
Yeah, that was the character's name.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the actor's name.
Kenneth Branagh.
That's it. Kenneth Branagh.
Great director, great actor.
Yeah. Great addition to that whole drama. But I think when Harry Potter really got good, like those two were children's movies, so they were limited by their value. It's kind of like a Home Alone can never be a mechanically great movie. They're movies, they made money, but I think where it really got good was Prisoner of Azkaban. And I don't think anyone doubts that.
This is where it got good. This is where it got good. In fact, here's this is an interesting thing for Hollywood as well. So you end up so Alfonso Cuarón. So he's the Mexican director, I believe.
I don't know if he's Mexican, but I know he's director.
I'm pretty sure he's from Mexico because all the movies I saw from him early on were Spanish speaking. So like Y Tu Mama Tambien, that was a movie I saw a long time ago. It's actually starring Diego Luna, who we would also know as name is escaping me now.
I don't know.
Star Wars series that just aired.
From
Jesus Christ.
The Andor series.
Andor, thank you, Cassian Andor.
Cassian
so
Andor,
yeah. So which is surprising, I forgot that because I love that series. But that's Diego Luna. That's where we got to start. Was Y Tu Mama Tambien?
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. So also Gael Garcia Bernal, who he's played in a bunch of stuff now too. So anyway, I won't go too deep into that rabbit hole. All you got to know is interesting that they would get that director who did this movie. This is Y Tu Mama Tambien was about two young guys who end up befriending a mature woman, and she wants to go on like a vacation and just bang them both the whole time. Just lots of banging, lots of sexy stuff in it. So spoiler warning. Turns out she's got a terminal illness, and she's just trying to live it up before she goes. And who better to live it up with than these two sexy boys?
And there's emotions and everything.
Oh, boy,
that's a weird director to go from that straight to a Harry Potter
boy, I'm
movie.
glad they did.
Yeah.
So, because this would have been the movie that got my buy-in, like full buy-in.
Oh, this movie got the buy-in with the emotional change and how they rejigged everything and the darkness of it all. It was a fantastic movie.
Yeah. Interestingly, so the budget went up for this one, $130. So they thought they'd learned their lesson. Let's raise the budget. We lower the budget, money goes down. We raise the budget, money should go back up. Not the case. So here's the situation where they made a what I would say is a higher quality film than the previous two. Maybe,
for sure.
Maybe more so than the previous two combined. And yet the box office was slightly lower. Here's the first one swinging under 800 mil.
Which I find sucky because I do find that more artsy and more cerebral and more interesting movies become, the less money they make.
Oh, definitely.
Which really upsets me.
And in fact, it's funny, you're right about the second one being the longest. I thought this was the longest. Turns out 20 minutes shorter.
No, I think I'm not 100% sure. We'll see as we go through, but I'm pretty sure Chamber of Secrets maintains as being the longest.
So some things that Prisoner of Azkaban does right is right off the get-go introducing the what the fuck are they? The Spectre type.
The horse. Oh, I'm thinking Patronus, but that's what they fight against.
Yeah, that's what they used to fight against them.
My Lord.
It's been a minute.
This is what happens when you get old.
And this is live now, so we're just going to continue on. Anyway, so he ends up, you can look it up on yours, but yeah. So, but quickly introduces, though, some characters in it. Mystery character, this Prisoner of Azkaban, this person. So, key to the story, key to unlocking all the mysteries going on around him. Dementors are the creatures.
Dementors, yep.
And the Dementors are officially, they're guarding this prison, which is why they're even included in there. Turns out the prisoner they're trying to get in touch with, who's the key to solving this mystery, introduced to the film, is played by the one and only Gary Oldman. And he fucking rocks it.
He rocks it.
Just absolutely rocks this role on every level.
The reason he's so good at it is because you need someone that can be believable early on, look like and kind of act very villainous.
Right.
Just with his face. But then the moment the coin flips and you realize that he's actually a good guy, he can be a caring father figure. And Gary Oldman has that back and forth. We've seen him be horrible villains and great humans. And I think he was a fantastic choice for that.
Absolutely. What was his name? Something Black? What was it?
Sirius Black.
Sirius Black. Thank you. Yeah. Very, very cool character in the Harry Potter franchise. Gary Oldman at the absolute peak of Gary Oldmanism, like just slayed it in this role.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This film came out in 2004 as well. I don't think we mentioned that. Or 2003.
Yeah.
Nope. 2004.
And this one also introduced one of the most confusing and mystique objects in all of the Harry Potter universe.
What's that?
The Marauders map.
Ooh, interesting. What about the Marauders map?
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Interesting.
It's there's no one knows quite how to explain it, and it seems like a very powerful artifact for it to just be left in a school.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those, like, this is like absurdly powerful.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, clearly falling into the wrong hands would be a problem, but falling into the hands of children, Not a problem.
Not a problem.
So, yeah, not a problem at all. So what would children possibly do with it?
They did some really great things in this one where they added to the style. This is where they really disconnected from the real world shows, and the castle became its own.
And they also, isn't this the first one, or maybe it's the next one? Isn't this the first one where they do, no, it's got to be the next one, where they do the town of Hogsmeade?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I forget where Hogsmeade.
I'm pretty sure this was Hogsmeade.
Yeah, I think Hogsmeade was in this one, but
sure Hogsmeade
a cool little town, butterbeer, all that shit, right? All that's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I get a butterbeer anytime I see one at a bar.
Woo! I get a butterbeer down at what was that, Universal?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the frozen one. So what was it? It was kind of not quite butterscotchy, but sort of appley, toffee.
It's usually
sort of
Adam butterscotchy, apple-y butterscotch.
Yeah. It's very, very good. I quite liked it. But I got
kind of a little bit of root beer too.
Yeah, I got the blended one.
That makes sense. Yeah.
No,
I think in this one, this is when it started to go dark, where you still had that wonderment.
Yeah.
But it was dark wonderment with the time turner, and you have this fear of the hippogriff, Buckbeak, I think his name was, dying, and there's this great wonderment of all of that. And I still think that did a good job of keeping wonderment, but starting down the path of dark.
That's right. Yeah, just again, character-wise, doing very well. Lord Sirius Black, allegedly a supporter of Voldemort in this, but at this point, we still haven't seen Voldemort. So, although they did find his alter ego, Tom Riddle, his journal in the second movie. So you're starting to get some tidbits, too, about the overarching story here, which is exciting.
It's great. And hilariously enough, they did define that I think it's in the books, not in the movies, where they defined that the Dementors would more easily work for Voldemort anyway. I'm like, why the hell would you put someone that the government actively knows would turn tail for Voldemort as prisoners of his followers? This doesn't fucking make any sense. J.K. Rowling planned this out from the beginning. Trust me.
Voldemort's gone. We're not worried about him. Okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
So, and then Goblet of Fire. So that's the next one that came out. So book published in 2000. Movie comes out in 2005. I
think this was also a huge turning point for this series.
Totally. Yeah.
Because this has the first death in it.
Yes, it does. And a high-profile actor as well. Because in this, they actually introduce
Robert Pattinson,
the one and only the Batman, but as a boy wizard, not as Batman.
As a boy wizard,
yeah. At that point, we had no idea who
as a popular nice boy. Sidri Diggory. Sidri Diggory.
That's right.
Cedric Diggory. That's
right.
Sidri Diggory do
rolls off the tongue. Just rolls off the tongue like most names in Harry Potter.
Honestly, first of all, it was a really cool action-packed movie. I thought the first one, the Azkaban, I felt very darker and slower and more philosophy. This one was a bit more of a action romp.
Yep.
Until the last fucking moment. They really pulled the rug under you, because they're like, okay, there's definitely something weird going on throughout this movie and you feel something's off, but it is just hey, we're fighting dragons, we're having an adventure, we're doing, little challenges and stuff like that. It's a tournament, it's fun, everything's fun, and then right at the end, there's a father crying, like ugly face crying over his dead son. And I think I was sitting there going, oh my God, this just changed this series. The first death on scene.
Isn't this the one as well that gives you a crinkled up baby Voldemort?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you get some real disturbing images.
Because this is when Voldemort returns.
Yes. Yeah. So, but it's not quite the big return yet. The big return is the next one where you get the full on the boy who lived come to die.
No, that's this one.
That's this one?
Yeah, it's right at the end, because he hits the key port, and that's how Cedric Diggory dies, because he goes up against Voldemort.
That's right. Yeah.
And he uses Harry's blood to bring him back.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. So yeah, that's and for even anybody who hasn't seen the series, if you're a little bit younger, you Gen Zers out there, if you're listening, look, that's where this came from. So it was this movie right here.
Yeah.
So that's Goblet of Fire.
Honestly, they got a really good actor at this point, because I don't think he played Voldemort in the first one, where he was just the head on the back of Quirrell's head.
So, yeah.
But this time they got what was the name?
Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes. Oh, what an amazing actor!
Actually, he'll be in my playing and or watching today.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So very brilliant actor. Wildly menacing man.
So
he's brilliant at doing that, so which is why he's so good as Voldemort. Voldemort being introduced as well. What an absolute horror in terms of kids' films.
One thing I want to point out is everything up to date that we're talking about with Harry Potter. I mean, there's been games that we're not really talking about that has come throughout this. With each of the movies comes its carryover game. All of the games that have come out as of now were all games based on the books or based on the movies.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you look at what I find funny is if you look at the cover art for each of the games, the first few games base their artwork off the book covers, or at least were inspired by. That's so weird. I don't know. That's Lego Creator. So you can see like the artwork style is very from the books. Like it doesn't look like Daniel Radcliffe. It looks like Harry Potter from the covers of the books. But then if you keep going down,
correct. Yeah.
Keep looking down a bit later. Once you get to like that's Book of Spells. That's a VR game. What are they not showing them? Oh, they're just jumping. They're not showing the other ones.
I don't know.
No, those aren't all of them. So they start the art style that were following the books were based on the books, and then until about
even Lego Harry Potter looks more like Daniel Radcliffe.
Yes.
Than this Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's because it's earlier. But the game started to use the cover of the movies.
Yeah.
As their selling point, because I think it's very clear that notice we're talking about the movies.
Yep.
We've read these books.
That's right.
I've read these books that we're talking about up until Order of the Phoenix. I've read them. And yet what I cite all the time are the movies.
That's right.
Because the movies are what made this franchise.
Yeah.
They defined it. They defined the art style.
Yeah.
They defined a lot of the important characters, because there's so many characters in the books that just don't get mentioned in the movies.
True story.
And there's some characters that are combined and split and so on and so forth.
Sure.
But when everyone talks about this universe, they talk about the movies and the art of the movies.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier just like the design of like Hogwarts and the layout and how everything looks. Like, yeah, I mean, those Warner Brothers films laid it all out, and the games and everything else reflects that now. So
supposedly because of the Marauders map, when Prisoner of Azkaban, they got rid of, remember I talked about how they got rid of like the filming on site. During that, they had to basically design Hogwarts layout.
Yeah.
And they had to figure all that out.
Yeah.
So at that point, they were starting to like, okay, we know how Hogwarts is laid out. These are the movie people, not J.K. Rowling writing the book. So I get it. J.K. Rowling started. She kind of gave the energy to kick it started. But as far as I'm concerned, it's the writers, the screenwriters, and the set designers that really made this universe.
Oh, totally. Yeah. In fact, I remember at Universal, you can actually go up or Islands of Adventure anyway. You can go actually up in Hogwarts. Yeah. And like because you go through there in the line to get to the whatever ride.
The ride, yeah. Is that the Hagrid's ride?
Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible. Even the detail they put in there, everything looks legitimate. There's pictures that are moving and animated, and like it's absolutely wild. I remember,
so cool,
so sick. So anyway,
but I just want to talk about. I just want to talk about the games. We're not really mentioning the games because they were shit games. First of all,
well, we'll get there, but it's largely Lego based for about the first decade.
No. This timeline that you're looking at is missing a whole chunk of it.
Is it really?
Yeah, because there were games specifically tied to the movies.
Weird.
Look, you can see the games right there and the artwork there.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
So I don't know what your timeline is looking at there, but they brought out games that were specifically tied and titled of matching the movies.
Here, look. Okay.
Oh, there we go. That makes sense.
There's two timelines. There's so many Harry Potter games. They broke them down into two timelines. The main film ones. Oh, you're right. That is a book cover.
So, and then if you go down to the next one, you can see it's also following the book cover. Chambers. And then go to the next one. I think Prisoner of Azkaban. Nope. One more.
Oh, that was the wrong one, though, I think.
Oh, that's Philosopher's Stone.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
There you go. Now they're starting to follow.
That's cheap 3D art.
Yeah.
That's cheap.
But it's still, you can see that they're trying to go for Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert, and Emma Watson now.
Well, it's just different enough. You could tell they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah.
Just different enough to like, okay.
And then now that Goblet of Fire, they just went right in.
They're all in.
They just took a picture of...
It is a picture of Daniel Radcliffe.
So you see how that went. Like clearly... When it started, it was about the books.
Yeah.
It became about the movies. The books were secondary. They didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
The movies were where it's at. The movies defined the Harry Potter universe.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Which is why they're our main topic of
You're
today.
right. That's interesting. Yeah, because that made the switch right there around 2005. 2005, they officially took over.
Yeah.
So, wild.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. good call out. So moving on from, again, this is, in our opinion, probably one of the better Harry Potter films here in Goblet of Fire.
Yeah.
We're moving right into Harry Potter and Order of the Phoenix. Actually, it's kind of like 3, 4, 5. Just bang, bang, bang. All pretty decent.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Because even this one is pretty good. I liked Order of the Phoenix. Cool plot twist in it. It focuses very much just on Hogwarts itself and the politics that are going on there. And I really appreciated that about this film.
I think this one it goes past Hogwarts more. This is the one where they start to not talk about Hogwarts.
This is the one where they end up getting the bad lady, what's her face?
Is that this one?
Pretty sure Order of the Phoenix. Yeah, it's like where they have to go like underground because they have a bad headmaster, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Pretty sure.
Order of the Phoenix was based on the older group, so they were rebuilding the Order of the Phoenix from the. This is because Voldemort's back. They're rebuilding it from the Weasleys and so on and so on.
Right.
And this is the true return of the Death Eaters and everything. This is when the war isn't just Harry Potter in Hogwarts anymore. This is when there's now a resistance group, and they're trying to convince. They spend most of their time in this one trying to convince the government that Voldemort exists.
Yeah, you're right. Which one had? It must be the next one.
I think it's the next one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm conflating the two then. So anyway, yeah, you're correct. So this is the one where they have to go outside. Is this where they end up having to go like? Back to Diagon Alley, they end up having to find like an underground sort of cave system, and there's like a dragon down there, and anyway, all this stuff.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, anyway, I might just be making that up.
I don't remember
Could
that
just
part.
be completely made up. So anyway,
this is the one where they have the really cool wonderment of, which I still find funny, that there's a scene where Harry Potter is sitting there in wonderment when the building splits and expands to find the hidden building underneath for the Order of the Phoenix, and Harry Potter is just, oh my God, and all just amazed. Are you fucking kidding me? You saw the TARDIS of camping tents in the last book. This surprises you now?
Yes.
This is a Tuesday.
Yes, it does. Oh my God.
But this one definitely went outside. This one stopped feeling like it was about Hogwarts.
Yeah, it's about the ministry.
It's about the ministry more, yeah.
The Ministry of Magic, yeah. Interesting. So it does go pretty far out there. Oh, and they also don't they have a big battle at the end of this one too? Harry and Voldemort? Is it, or Dumbledore and Voldemort have it?
Oh, this is that one.
Yeah, where they're zapping each other in the sewers, just zapping left and right.
Yes.
Two different colors, everybody.
I think this is also the one where they introduce Luna Lovegood.
Oh yeah, Luna, definitely fan favorite, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And she's, you know what? She's first of all a very kind person.
Yep.
The actress.
Yeah.
And I think she's got a very interesting tale that people really connect with.
Yep.
With her anorexia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where she got out of it, and that was really great. And obviously, everyone thought she was really cute too.
Yeah.
Which is honestly, it's a really good story, both in and out of the movies.
Good. Well, yeah, there's kind of a side story here, yeah, because they also include Neville and Ginny a lot in this. Ginny, of course, being Ron Weasley's sister, ends up being the kind of beau for Harry.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I agree with that decision.
Well, I'm good with it.
I don't. It always felt weird to me because
Yeah.
I never really understood the relationship. At least in the movies, came out of nowhere. In my opinion, when they just showed her as his wife at the end, I kind of went, "Really?"
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, it was sudden, but they also skipped like we'll get to this in a bit. But weird decisions were made at the end there that I don't fully understand. We'll get to
fair
that.
enough.
We'll get to that. So anyway, so this film.
Also, you think that Ron, when Harry's like, "Man, I'm sorry, but I banged your sister last night," you don't think Ron is like, "You fucking son of a bitch"?
I wanted to see that scene. I wanted that scene to happen, dude. So it would have been good. So anyway, budget. The budget is kind of not laid out here. It says 150 to 200 mil for this one. Box office 942. So climbing back up there a little bit. Half-Blood Prince. This is sort of the second to last film because the last film is broken up into two parts. So Half-Blood Prince. Is this the one I'm thinking of? Who the hell knows? It doesn't say in here. So about the plot and anyway, that probably happened a few films ago anyway. So yeah, Half-Blood Prince is interesting because this is Harry Potter circling back around now, and there's a plot line that involves one of the teachers in the school who's always been somewhat divisive. So
yeah. So this is I forget her name now, but yeah, you're right. The one who always wears pink. I think the one that generally people consider a worse villain than Voldemort.
Yeah, correct. I thought that is that this film then?
I'm pretty sure it's this film.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And then on top of that, you also have front and center Snape.
What about him?
It's because he is the Half-Blood
Dolores
Prince.
Umbridge.
But Snape is the Half-Blood Prince, is he not?
Yes, he is. Yeah, it turns out that the potion book that they get is him.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
that's this
anyway,
one.
and he's a fan favorite as well, Snape. So definitely a divisive character.
Oh, you're
for a
right.
long
She
time.
did show up in Harry Potter. Is the primary antagonist of the 5th novel, Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, you're right.
So
You're right.
she was in that,
Yeah.
and then so that was just and obviously a lot happened in that film. That was just the part I seem to remember the most of. Is just like the Order of the Phoenix kind of getting pushed underground, and then the students having to like train one another as a result of that.
Oh,
So
is that one too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a lot going on in that one.
Yeah, there was a lot on that one.
So, but anyway, this one definitely sort of ramping up here to the final play. This is also, yeah, this is the dramatic.
I think this is where they reveal the Horcruxes.
The Horcruxes is a big one in this. Also, Snape arrives and appears to kill Dumbledore.
Oh, right. Oh, he does kill Dumbledore. Doesn't
He does?
appear to. This is, I remember this being a very famous one in the books.
Yeah.
Because this is when, on page 110 or whatever,
Yeah.
Snape kills Dumbledore. Like, this was
gotcha.
around the time where before the internet was really what we know today. We didn't have like Twitter where people could just message the moment
Yeah.
they're in a theater, or reading a book.
Yep.
Where we protected, spoilers quite heavily. And there was a huge joke because the internet was coming online and trolls were coming online, and they would tell everyone what was happening. It became a huge political problem.
Yeah, this was 2009 when this came out. So certainly spoilers would have been a thing at that point. Everybody on cell phones at that point.
But they didn't have cell phones that could, this was just at the cusp of the internet getting big enough that you could just message out something.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, out of your pocket.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not like nowadays. Holy shit, man.
Yeah. So this was not, I found this movie to be kind of boring. Don't get me wrong, it's no Chamber of Secrets
It
bad.
must have been because I remember almost nothing about it, and I just watched it a couple years ago. so it must have been pretty boring.
Yeah, it was definitely the weaker of them.
Interesting. So Deathly Hallows is where the series ends, part 1, part 2. They came out in 2010, 2011. It was developed as a 2-part deal, and they definitely got their mileage out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So the first one dropped in 2010. So that one, 250 million box. I'm sorry, 977 box office.
And I've been watching it. Chamber of Secrets is still the longest.
Now, if you look at this, though, shared budget between the two films, part 1 and part 2,
that's
250
okay.
mil. So probably their most profitable films then, because this, other than the first one, because this came right up against 1 billion, and the second part also, I think, bumped right up against that. So it was right in there. Actually, 1.3 billion, so the
for the
highest
last one.
grossing for the second one. So talk about a studio completely
bank.
dude, just getting it down to the number, man. 250 mil to make, I mean, basically like $2.2 billion. Like it's now, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And to do that over a 2-year period as well, which is very impressive.
Yeah, it's a good long-term, keep having money come in type of thing.
And man, by that point, I mean, just what a cast by the end of this thing. Just the amount of big names that you have in there. Oh,
I think
my
it got
God.
big enough that people wanted to stick around. People wanted to. These were the movies that I think started to really become. These were the adult movies where everything had to close. Not everything was going to be happy. We had the scene that was added but never happened in the books, and this is what I'm talking about. Where I think the books didn't define Harry Potter. The movies did.
Yeah,
and that's because of things like what happened. The final scene for Dobby.
Gotcha.
Which is famously heart-wrenching.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And they made some pretty interesting changes and cuts to make things clear. They had some really great ones on this.
Yeah. So, but this is where some of the confusing things start to come in here for me. So you got a studio. You got Warner Brothers Studio. In large part because at this point they hadn't really ramped up DC to any extent. So Harry Potter is their biggest sort of pop culture property at this point.
For sure.
So it goes out on a bang. 250 mil. They've made $2.3 billion. So what the hell? Like, did nobody watch the end of the second film before it actually released to a wide audience? How did they end up just saying like, okay, clearly most popular film franchise of all time, like, and the amount of money we just made in the last decade is just obscene, right? Along with all the merch and everything that kind of went along with that. So you get to the end of Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 2. And what do you got? You got, you're jumping from the end of the battle, right? Where the battle at Hogwarts, you're jumping right from that right into the next scene is, Harry Potter and Ginny and all the other guys seeing their kids off so they could go to Harry Potter or to Hogwarts. At platform 9 3/4. So who was high when they said that was okay?
Why is that
at
a
the
problem?
studio? Why the fuck isn't a problem? Because this is like, why wouldn't they just have kept it going? They fucking own it. They own it. It literally belongs to them. The film rights.
Okay, here's the deal. Here's one thing I agree with, what they made and then unmade their mistake, which was they knew, and rightfully should know, when it's time to die, it's time to fucking Bubby die. Get out, make your money, don't live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Yeah.
The problem is they almost had that where they could just walk away and go do another series. And that's what they need. A lot of people need to learn to do is don't just keep beating that pinata. You need to end, and it ended, and that was out. I was happy with that.
Yeah.
The problem was that what they made a mistake of putting, a lot of people put too much love into J.K. Rowling. And I think now is a good time to start talking about two things kind of closely tied together.
I know what one of those things is.
Yeah. One of them is J.K. Rowling wrote the screenplay for Fantastic Beasts.
Yep. She
did not write the screenplay for any of the other movies.
That's right.
And which one of those sucked?
I'm going to go with Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah,
this one, Alex, is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
What is
ding,
Fantastic
ding, ding, ding,
Beasts?
ding.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's clearly, I think she writes okay books.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers makes great movies.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they fucked up. Now, it was also around the time of the second Fantastic Beasts where she also screenplayed. What the fuck?
I can't even fathom. I cannot even fathom.
Well, because I think it's because Fantastic Beasts was all right. People were hungry for Harry Potter again. So it got a lot of people to come in and see it. But it was only all right.
Yeah.
At best, it was all right. So... And I love Eddie, what is it? Eddie Main, Eddie Redmayne.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Oh God.
Great. Yeah.
I am upset that he got the short straw on this. Because I really like him in this world.
And I mean, like, it's a powerhouse cast of at least male figures anyway, because you have Jude Law, you have Eddie Redmayne, you have Johnny
that's
Depp
specifically Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah. And then once you get to the Secrets of Dumbledore, so this is the final of the trilogy of Fantastic Beasts. I mean, go ahead and just slot in there freaking Mads Mikkelsen.
Well, he plays
in place of Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah.
Better choice, I think, ultimately, right? But ultimately, not the strongest films, and it's tough because only the first film is really about Fantastic Beasts. So it puts them in a really tough spot. Like it's a weird film franchise. It's not topical to the title. Like it's very strange.
I think the problem is J.K. Rowling did the thing where this is where her problems started.
Yeah.
Because people were going, hey, your Fantastic Beasts don't make quite sense anymore, and you're making adult movies and adult stories now.
Yeah.
You need to start making sense. Oh no, I had this plan from the beginning. Dumbledore was gay the whole time. And you're like, you fuck. Like, no.
She's doubling down, man.
Yeah, you're lying to us. Stop lying. And then they made Crimes of Grindelwald. Like, well, this is what was planned for the Fantastic Beasts. No, you didn't. You made one movie based on a book, a passing title of a book that showed up in the main series.
Right.
Great idea.
Yeah.
I loved the idea of the first one. But why did it suddenly get turned into the backstory of Dumbledore?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Honestly, it's bizarre.
It's
like this is one of the most bizarre turns in film history that I can imagine. And something must have happened in there. If we were to go and look up the history of, Warner Brothers, I bet there was some change of hands there in 2014, 2015. And they were like, what the fuck are we doing with Harry Potter? And then they gave her a shout. She's like, oh, I've already written this script for the film called Fantastic Beasts. And they're like, fucking make it.
Yeah.
Throw all the money at it.
But I think the problem was and we're talking about what defines this franchise, right? One of the things that defines this franchise is that wonderment that I keep talking about.
Yeah.
The first Fantastic Beasts had a sense of wonderment with these little beasts and this new world. But the second and third movie lost that.
And I was just looking at the diminishing returns on that. It diminished by over $200 million for each subsequent Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
First one made 800, and then by the time the third one dropped, it made $400 million on a budget of $200 million, which means with its advertising budget, it probably just about broke even.
And I think this is where we need to start talking about the LGBT trans elephant in the room.
Yeah, so here's a writer who is dealing with complex love, good, evil story arcs with gay characters, which is fine. So the tricky part comes in, when, along with the gay characters, you tend to attract the LGBTQ plus community because you should, right? You should attract that community.
This is a world with outsiders and weird people.
Correct. And then she did attract that community.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this became kind of like...
Sorry, I don't mean weird people. I mean people who feel... different.
Yeah, people who feel like they're outside.
Yes,
right?
that's what I should say.
So they present this character who is supposed to capture all of them, you know what I mean? And capture their hearts and minds. And then he did, but among those people are, of course, transgender. And it turns out, this is the thing that nobody could have predicted. Out of every group that there is, you call it gay, furry, lesbian, anybody, you name anybody, transgender is the one she's got a real problem with.
Yeah.
And she's been fairly vocal about it.
And the best part was when it came out, she doubled down and she's doubled down and she's doubled down.
I remember that this was like 2018, 2017, somewhere around there. And I remember being on, maybe it was Twitter or Facebook where it all blew up. But I remember thinking like, oh, she'll backtrack it. This is a temporary problem.
Miscommunication. She said something, or she's just said something dumb, and she's going to politically quiet
she's
her.
She's British.
Opinion.
We can barely understand her anyway in America, so I don't even know. So it turns out, no, that's really what she thinks and feels, and she's what's the type of feminism she subscribes to?
I don't remember the title.
It's a very toxic kind because it's the kind that tends to pick and choose, but also tries to set the rules and boundaries for who may say that they are female. So that's the problem. It's a type of feminism that dictates feminism versus like includes people into feminism.
It's about empowering certain kinds of women.
Correct. It's exclusionary, not inclusionary.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
So,
okay,
and I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but that's just what it is.
Yeah,
it's just, it's a fact.
Just how it comes out.
And and it turns out among those that are excluded are transgender. So in J.K. Rowling's immaculate opinion, you cannot essentially call yourself female if you do not currently or have never had ovaries.
She just goes crazy on this, and clearly it affects the box office. But I think this is an important topic to discuss, segregated of the opinions. I think we've kind of made our opinions, without saying our opinions, we've made our opinions pretty clear.
The fact that this is surprising to us should tell you something.
So I think what's interesting here is that there's a lot of discussion now. Now we're kind of coming back to Legacy of Hogwarts, or Hogwarts Legacy. And there's a lot of boycotts going on around that, a lot of hatred towards that because of the tie to J.K. Rowling. I think what needs to be asked about the Harry Potter franchise, because we know we've defined what are some key things that you think are important to the Harry Potter universe that define? I've said the wonderment. Yeah. Constant wonderment.
Inclusion now.
Inclusion now, okay. Inclusion to people who are outside or people who are generally feel different than society and so on and so forth.
And for a long time, it did a good job of that.
Yeah.
You have early on, redhead character. Then you have, popular female characters. Then you have
Luna.
A gay character. Then you have Luna, who's had an eating disorder, right? So it does. There's an Asian wizard, right? So I mean, for a while, it did okay. Yeah. It was including people like, hey, you look like you can also be a wizard, probably, maybe. So and they did a good job with that for a long time, and then they fell off the horse.
So here's the question that I've got.
Yeah.
Do you think that a creator's opinion outside of the universe has an impact and has a defining impact on that universe? Do you think the universe is beyond J.K. Rowling now? Or do you think that it is deserving to be, for the whole franchise to potentially get shut down because she's bigoted?
This is a very complex question. I would only say this. When it comes to properties nowadays, especially when it's tied to a media other than books, someone else is making money on that too. So in this case, we're talking about if you're talking about a game, you're talking about Warner Brothers Studios. Mm-hmm. So if you're talking about about the films, you're also talking about Warner Brothers, right? So it's tricky. It's tricky. What we can see though, based on the films, sort of being tied to that, the Fantastic Beasts films being tied to that as well over the last few years, definitely diminishing returns. And that could just be, call it the quality of the film, quality of the writing, whatever you want to call it.
I call it a bit of both.
I think it's a bit of both.
And I wish the Discord was more about the terribleness of the movies. Yeah. Because that's what I'm here for.
Right.
But I definitely think obviously her opinions have an impact.
That's right. Yeah.
But should it? Do you think that is a defining factor of what makes Harry Potter Harry Potter?
I mean, it depends on who you are. I mean, if you've been there since the beginning, yeah, probably. Because I mean, you probably grew up idolizing to some extent, this individual, right? So it's and this is the problem we run into time and time again in the modern era when it comes to actors and writers and people like that is they tend to be controversial. And lately with, the internet and everything, we tend to find out people are controversial for really specific, ultra specific, terrible things they've done or said. So it's tough. I would just say this. It's, it's bad that she's doubled down on it, tripled down on it, quadrupled down on it. She still makes comments about it on Twitter and stuff like that. Like
she can't put it down.
She's fishing for drama. She really, really is. And that I can't agree with. It's a bad way to run business, right? Yeah. So, and it's also a poor example for the children she claims to be a role model for. You know what I mean? Having been a single mother, working her way up from nothing, you know what I mean? It's a poor role model. And I hope people aren't taking her example or taking her bait, although it's clear they are on Twitter. So, but what I'll say is this is I'm also over trying to judge people, unless the crime is too bad, but trying to judge people for simple slip-ups, you know what I mean? And one-off things. I look back to Al Franken is an example.
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn. Yeah. There, other examples as well of people that we, the media crucified, over certain things, right? And I think we have to be careful to not be in a world where public figures are expected to be perfect. Okay?
And not only that, but we expect them to. I think our problem. Sorry, continue. I'll talk about mine.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I think people in some cases, unless they've hurt someone like children or someone specific, right? So I think that people do deserve a chance to kind of make things right. The trouble is with J.K. Rowling is she's clearly not going to take that road.
No.
So
I think there's I'm personally of the opinion that celebrities need to shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, but not a bad idea. Yeah, when I join a company, my personal political opinions, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I don't go to my company and start spouting my political and religious views.
Yeah.
Not that I have any religious views, but I don't do that. Because I'm in a company, I'm in the bigger group. It's not about me.
It's the opportunity for self-martyrdom, though. That's what's driving this for the dissenting opinion. So, for instance, when you have J.K. Rowling saying this stuff and her films have a diminishing return, so what she says is, I'm being canceled because I have this strong opinion and I'm a strong feminist, this type of feminist, whatever that type of feminist is, right?
Yeah.
So, same thing with some of the other cancellations that are slowly happening out there. I just had one pop into my head.
All I can think was the chick from Mando.
That was what I was thinking. It was Cara Dune. What's her name? Wrong one. Anyway, we'll figure that out later. So, but Disney did in fact have a clause where she's not supposed to be talking politics on her personal profiles, like her verified profile on social media.
I personally think
she broke that, and then she got canceled because of her contract. But now she'll claim that she was canceled because of her politics, which is not the case. She was canceled because in her contract, it stated you are not to create controversy through your social media, and yet she went and did it anyway.
I get it. You have a platform, you're a leader, and people, I think the problem is we as viewers, we as fans, expect these people to make statements. We expect them to use their platform to, air quotes, better society. Or make statements in their way. The problem is when you have this many celebrities, statistically speaking, there's going to be some of them that don't agree with you. So you're going to go make an opinion. I fantasize about you being a leader. You're a good person because your character's good in the movie.
Yeah.
So I think you're a good person. And then when you're like, Jews suck.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So you've pushed them to be that you've told them you need to make an opinion. You need to pick a side.
Yeah.
No, and then they pick a side and they don't pick your side and you're angry.
Yeah.
And you're like, how about everyone just shut the fuck up?
Yeah. And honestly, so many celebrities have done so much better for themselves if they just understood where to draw the line. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just, it's getting out of hand, particularly in 2022 with the big Kanye meltdown as well. Like we saw that all go down. Like what an absolute implosion from a man who is by and large mentally ill. You know what I mean? And yet he's managed to cancel himself as a mentally ill individual.
Yeah. And I think my opinion is there is a line to be drawn where something like, is the creator separate of this? Yes. I don't view Hogwarts Legacy. I'm not into boycotting Hogwarts Legacy because of J.K. Rowling. Now, I do have a problem with she's earning some money from it, right? But there are so many other people earning their money.
Yes. So people who are just earning a living too.
Yeah. Am I going to punish those people For her? No, I'm not into that.
So there's like probably 300 people working on this game for Warner Brothers Studios.
Oh, yeah.
Probably more.
Probably more.
So that's 300 people who are trying to make a living. They've been laboring on this for probably 3 to 4 years. Like, honestly, it's a huge, huge, huge production. And I believe it is kind of ethically wrong even to try and punish them because of J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, and the fact is that what I have found funny is I've watched ads in different things as I'm researching this, and you realize that on one side they go, J.K. Rowling was here helping us out, guiding us along the way, and then in another ad, another dev talk over on the other side, like, nope, she had no involvement.
Right.
You're like, well, which one is it?
Right. And I'm sure if you look up charitable causes for her, I'm sure she's involved in a ton of charitable causes. So it's, again, this comes down to we have to sort of move away from trying to cancel someone for one opinion that we disagree with. And at the end of the day, you're right or wrong, it is an opinion, and people are entitled to them. You know what I mean? And you can vehemently disagree with what they have to say, but they are entitled to say it in free countries.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a huge thing, but I think when it comes down to Harry Potter, what matters here is that at this point, it has passed her. She is clearly not the future of this generation.
Correct.
Of this franchise.
Correct.
The best that she did was launch it.
Yep.
And the movies that were separate of her made it what it is.
Yeah.
And when they got her more involved, it went downhill.
That's right.
So let's take the next step a little further from her.
Yeah.
And that's not even because of her opinions.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do. I'm not saying that because of her opinions. I'm saying that because clearly she's not that good.
I mean, my advice to Warner Brothers would be to bring her in for the meetings, placate her, and as soon as she leaves the room, make your movie. Just cut her right out of it. So cut her right out of it. Be like, wow, JK, you're slaying it with these ideas. These ideas are money. We're so excited about them.
There's a whiteboard that's directly connected to a shredder. Right as soon as the meeting's done, it's automated, so she shuts the door. Just
It's wild, man. It's wild. So funny too, she was actually writing a book from the viewpoint of like a transgender murderer when she was going through all that as well. Just absolutely wild. Anyway, yes,
but I think it has to be brought up because it is impacting the franchise and it's important to the franchise, and I think it sucks that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah,
everything I've seen makes it look very, very, very good. An absolute blockbuster, almost on the level. It looks like same way that they kind of just recently did, not Warner Brothers, but other studio did like the Fallen Order, like Jedi Fallen Order, like just this big AAA blockbuster title that kind of gives you everything you want, all in one shot.
So we're kind of coming to the end of this where we didn't really talk about the games. We did a little bit, but there's nothing special about them. They sucked. As far as my research can tell, they had an average score of 5 point something out of 10.
Unless you're talking about the Lego games.
The Lego ones did well.
Woo!
They kicked butt. They did really well.
So it's wild that those Lego games are coming out around the same time as the actual number, like the actual numbered games, the film games.
They're a little later than them,
but no, they started in 2001. No, that was Lego Creator.
Lego Creator.
Lego Harry
different.
Potter was 2010.
The years 1 and 4, those were those were the famous ones. Those were the good ones.
So we're talking about 2010, 2011. Harry Potter's years 1 to 4 and 5 to 7. Great games. All the Lego games, highly recommend them. Definitely play them. Great multiplayer
the rest
games
of them
as well.
Are trash.
Yep. So, although I did enjoy for the short time it was out, they ended it last year in 2022. Harry Potter Wizards Unite. This was the take from Niantic, who is the makers of Pokemon.
I think the problem is it came
Pokemon
Go.
Thank you, Pokemon Go.
I think the problem is it came out after Pokemon Go. I think.
Yep.
And it was from the same crew, and it's not nearly as popular as a franchise as Pokemon.
Correct.
It sounds like it's a very big franchise. It has its own.
No. I think it's as popular as a franchise, but as a game franchise, nah.
No, Pokemon is the largest franchise of all time. We know that.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that recently in another episode. And so, like, the difference is night and day. And it was out first.
Even with Pokemon Go, there's been times over the last few years where Nintendo was like, we're pretty close to pulling the plug on this. Like, it's not quite making as much money as they wanted it to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's literally the biggest game franchise of all time.
Yeah.
So, like, it's wild, actually, how different those two things are. But for what it did, I personally really liked Wizards Unite. I thought it was solid. I enjoyed the game. Man and I played it a while, because we were playing Pokemon Go at the time. Then we tried this one out. Cool game. Really cool game.
I think the Hogwarts Legacy, if we're talking about the future, I think there's two things I want to talk about. One is, do you think that the Harry Potter is keeping to the ideologies of what we've sort of defined throughout this? Those wonderment, those growth of human psychology and opinions, right? Because really we saw throughout the movies, Harry Potter growing as a person, defining what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
Those to me are key factors. Do you think that
Also, it may sound corny. Power of friendship.
the power of friendship?
Power of
Yes,
friendship.
that is
was
a huge one.
That was huge.
That's a huge one.
Friendships were tested.
Yep. Do you think that the franchise is still on course to be a successful maintaining, or do you think they're right on that teeter? If they don't make if the next thing sucks, they're done.
The only on-ramp for the franchise itself, the game could do well independently of this as well.
Yes.
The only on-ramp for Harry Potter as a franchise is to get fucking Harry Potter back into it.
Really?
There's no other way to do it. You have to continue on the story with what happens after the conclusion of the film. Maybe you could even include the stage play in the book that just came out.
The terrible stage play, the cursed child.
Yeah, the cursed child. So,
Do you even know what that was about?
No, I have no idea.
So the story plot is that the daughter of Harry Potter, I think,
Yeah.
goes back in time,
Okay.
and I don't remember the reason why, but someone goes back in time, and their whole plot is to save Cedric Diggory.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it.
It's awful.
I love that idea.
It did not go well.
That would sell tickets.
It sold tickets
Well, it would
because
still
everyone's
sell
hungry for
tickets.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But reviews were they were not awful. They were just middling.
Yeah, but the book sold well too. So that's the thing. That was another blockbuster release for the book, and that just happened a couple years ago. So honestly, I think there's a huge opportunity here for an on-ramp to get back on with Harry Potter, but it has to include it. If nothing else, at least the original cast is like the mentor figures in it while they set up the next generation.
See, and I'm the weird guy. I want to go and see like the all-girls school, a story set in there, and
This
then
is
like
getting weird.
the Russian one.
This is getting real weird.
What?
The all-girl Russian school?
From
What do you-
Goblets of Fire,
Oh, I see what you're
where they
saying.
had like the
Okay,
other schools
okay.
show up.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Oh, yeah.
No, like there's that like the Russian one, and
Yeah.
I want to see different stories across the years. I don't want to see a story about Dumbledore anymore. I don't want to see
Oh, no,
a story about
I'm
that.
over that. I'm over. I'm saying like in so much as like the Star Wars prequels, their sequels for everything they did right and wrong. I did like that they did include members of the original cast. I love that Lando was in it. I love that Han Solo was in it. I love that Princess Leia was in it. So it's and I'm glad they got to use those characters one last time.
See, I think
substantive.
my problem with that is it's not forwarding the franchise; it's linking the franchise to those characters, so that if those characters aren't in it, you're doomed. It puts a ticking time clock of those actors.
Well, thankfully they figured out ways to do it since then that it's not doomed anymore. So,
that's not the same.
At the time, I think it was their only way forward.
I think it's a doomed thing, and I think you can't do that. I think the next thing you have to do, don't try and link it to Dumbledore. Don't try and do whatever you want. I'm fine with if it's Eddie Redmayne again. I'm fine with that, but don't involve any of that shit, and don't involve J.K. Rowling as a screenplay. Make it something different. I think this game is a good step. The Hogwarts Legacy is a good step in that direction because it has nothing to do with any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so far in the past that it's not impactful.
But I'm saying they got to bring it into the modern era. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think so. I think they need to. This needs to evolve from the Harry Potter universe, to the magical world of Hogwarts or something. Universe.
The Wizarding World.
The Wizarding World. You call it the Wizarding World. Universe.
I think that was probably the intention from the beginning, was to have like a Wizarding World where multiple main characters could be introduced and kind of followed.
Yeah.
But what we ended up with was Harry Potter. So
I think we're just too connected to that.
Got to keep it going. Got to keep it going if they want to keep making the mun. So Daniel Radcliffe, you think he wouldn't take the payday?
I would hope not.
He's gonna take the payday. What are you talking about?
No, I think, in my opinion, he ended it where he needs to end it.
Yeah.
Fucking let it lie.
Yeah. We're diverging here in a big way. So I'm just gonna say I'll take more. If they would just continue the story after that, keep all the same characters, all the actors are still fairly, they're probably my age. You know what I mean? It's just keep it going, man. Just keep it going. Make some mun. You know what I mean? Like, give me something to watch every Christmas. Like, there you go, man.
Yeah, but I think to end all this, they had a really cool run. The movies defined it.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, they're on a tipping point where if they make another one or two mistakes, it's over.
I believe. I agree. I agree 100% on that. All right. Well, that is Harry Potter. That's where we're at on it. So definitely divisive in terms of the opinions in this room. So, and then we'll be back momentarily to talk about some playing and or watching. Pretty excited. And we're back, and we're going to do some playing and or watching. So this is a segment that we do where we talk about a lot of things, what's currently in the news, but also what we've been playing, also what we've been watching, to kind of get it all up to date.
The playing and watching is kind of a misnomer because it's really just the fuck do we want to talk about?
So one thing I want to fucking talk about is this OGL situation. There's got to be an update on this. This has been the hottest news possible.
Have you been waiting this whole time to come talk to me as like your resident expert?
I've been excited to get the updates because I'm like, what stupid fucking thing are they going to do next? Like, I'm on the edge of my seat. I know there's another dumb move they're going to make, and I'm like, what's that move going to be? So what kind of half-assed, like hand out but hand closed sort of solution are they going to offer to their fans?
So here's the deal. I think at this point, it's without question, we know where this is going. We now know the master plan. When we last had their episode, when we last talked about OGL, they made a dumb move. They made a move, and it was a dumb one. But now with all of the information coming out, there was theories as to what might be their end game.
Yeah.
Now we're like 90% sure what their end game is. And there's a lot of these. It's funny because you feel like, that character from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the mail in the mailroom, like, oh my God.
Oh, Charlie?
Charlie, yeah.
With everything connected on the board.
Yeah. And what's going on is they brought in a new executive X amount of time ago. Not that long ago, like half a year ago.
Speaking of that, Pepe Silva. Wasn't that the thing from that episode?
Yes,
He's like, Pepe Silva.
Pepe Silva. Yeah.
So what's
he doesn't exist.
What's Hasbro's Pepe Silva?
So they brought in an executive about half-ish a year ago, and that executive was on the Microsoft boards of games.
Okay.
So they were an executive for the games section of Microsoft.
Okay. Not tabletop.
Not tabletop. There's no Microsoft tabletop to my knowledge.
I didn't think so.
So like video games, like Xbox Live, that kind of stuff. And now people are starting to put together that what they're doing is they're breaking down and shutting down the OGL just so that they can they can corner the market in virtual tabletops and in products so that they can basically turn D&D into a tabletop video game.
These fucking assholes.
So they're going to make it so that right now, when you want to go play D&D or whatever, you go buy books, physical books. And what ends up happening is ostensibly most of the books, you get one or two books are bought by the players, maybe a player's handbook. It's usually it.
Yeah. The
monsters guides, the adventure paths are just bought just by the DMs.
Yeah.
And they get one copy and they don't usually buy another one for a very long time.
Right.
And
it's an antiquated business model.
It's an antiquated business model. And that's what they were talking about in a previous statement of it's under monetized.
That's right.
I don't disagree with them.
No, I actually fully agree with them, but it's just the path they took.
Yeah, exactly. And so what's happening is their goal now is to basically make the physical books antiquated and really not all that useful, more like collector's items.
Gotcha.
But make the real product, their digital D&D Beyond or whatever they're going to call it, probably still D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
And you will have a subscription fee, which will get you access to the content. So if you ever stop your subscription fee, you lose access to the rules, to the character. You lose access to your character sheets probably. And if you want to make homebrew stuff, you have to pay for the higher model. So the expectation is your DM will pay about $30 a month.
Yeah.
$29.99 or whatever. Your players will pay about $6 a month.
Interesting.
And that is their end game. That's how they want to monetize D&D.
Wow. So to maintain a character sheet, each character would have to pay like their own subscription fee on top of like the DM subscription fee.
Yep. And what they're going to add in is like AI DMs and pre-built adventures in this sort of air quotes AI.
There could be value in that part.
I think there's definitely value because they did make us they did make the statement very clear, and it's totally legitimate. Their ideas are right. How they're going about it is wrong. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
They have this idea for this video game through the Unreal Engine that will have an AI or a program be your DM. And that makes a lot of sense because the thing I hear a lot is that there aren't enough DMs to go around.
True.
So there's a lot of players who don't have DMs, who just want to come in, pick up a game, play it, fight a monster, and then get out.
Yeah.
And this will placate that. And I think that is awesome.
And honestly, the technology is... I think we're there.
We're there
with ChatGPT now, like writing people's college, like finals papers for them and things. It
was almost like a showcase for this can be done.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, but the problem is for those that like my friends who just got into D&D 5e.
Yeah.
They want the tabletop experience. Everyone wants the book. It's called a pen and paper for a reason. And that's not even what upset people.
Yeah.
What upset people was they tried to corner the market in a hostile way.
Yes.
That destroyed all of this fan base. Because you've got people who are, I weirdly put myself in this category, which is the old guard.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's fair. You were brought up by the old guard.
I was brought up by the old guard. Exactly. I wasn't really there. Or I wasn't involved back then.
Yeah.
But everyone I play with are old guards.
Directly connected. Yeah.
Directly connected. And they're all scorned and burned by 4E, which went through this. They tried to do exactly what's going on now. They tried to do in 4E.
Yeah.
And it flopped. They didn't. The technology wasn't there. They weren't ready. It was too early. And obviously,
and I know you mentioned before they'd kind of seen the show before, but now it's different because the tech is there.
The tech is there.
And it's quite cheap for them to develop. In particular, if they have a head of, previous head of Microsoft Gaming there, well, he certainly knows what to do with the fucking cloud.
Yeah.
Microsoft built the whole cloud. So
yeah, exactly. And I think so. That's a huge problem. Is you've also got this discord within WOTC, which is the designers aren't happy with it because the designers are old guards.
Yeah,
they're a bunch of old people that and slightly new people, but they're generally the older class of the old guard that want to play the tabletop RPG. They don't want to go in this direction. But obviously, this guy wants to go in that direction because it makes more money. But that's their main problem is they did come back. So after they put out their OGL 1.2, they did, I think it was hilarious because the first PR thing they put out was it was never a draft and we didn't lose, we won together. Yeah. Everyone goes, fuck you.
Interesting.
Fuck you. You don't get to say that.
Yeah.
It was gaslighting to the max.
It's wild the extent to which this company or these board members they've overestimated the impact that they've personally had on driving this whole thing forward. Because it has literally nothing to do with them. So look at where D&D exists in pop culture right now. So if you look at the last few years, what single property has been responsible for driving the popularity of D&D more than anything? Actually, I can think of two properties. What are the two properties? So we talked about one of them last time.
Critical Role's one of them.
Critical Role's, that's huge,
and
right?
Stranger Things,
spot on.
Yeah.
So if they didn't have Critical Role and they didn't have Stranger Things, D&D would it'd be a quarter the size it is now. They've picked up so much in terms of interest just from these other properties. They had really nothing to fucking do with except maybe licensing out for Stranger Things, which they licensed out a few things.
Which I think is something, and I know I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but I feel like I have to make the statement. So after WOTC made their statement, they then came out and made a better statement, and they have actually put out a new draft, a 1.2. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, 1.2 or whatever. They have put out the new draft for people to review. And you know what? The truth is they are being very... I wouldn't say they're being 100% clear. You can tell there is some obfuscation going on. They're trying to make it more complicated than it is.
Yeah.
But it's very clear what they're doing now. And they're being a little bit more honest with it, which is good. This is the step they should have taken.
Is this an official olive branch or is it just meant to placate?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
I think they know they fucked up with their secrecy and they need to be more open, and they are being more open. But the problem is their actions now we're like, okay, all right. Your actions are shitty, but at least you're honest. Your actions are shitty. We're okay with that.
Yeah.
We can live with honest shittiness.
Yeah.
So people are putting in their reviews. They're saying, no, OGL 1. Like, we don't care. The general statement is, we don't care what your new OGL says, as long as you don't fuck with the old OGL.
Yeah.
We don't care because we can make our decisions based on that.
Yeah.
Just don't fuck with the old OGL. And we'll be fine with it.
Yeah.
That seems to be the only real opinion that stuck around.
Well, and what's wrong with that? What's wrong with then challenging them to come up with a good enough value proposition for the new one and their online stuff that attracts players to that? Like, that should be how it is.
Yes.
Because you can't just like come in with hostility and force everyone who's been playing the game a certain way out of playing the game. Those are the people who would monetize you.
Yes. And I think that's the argument that's being generally made right now,
Yeah.
which is, why is your approach strangling your competition rather than making a good product that beats your competition?
Right.
And I think that's generally the argument that's going on is, you guys are going about this all wrong. Don't punch your opposition.
Yeah.
Beat them honorably.
It's because they know they can't beat them on innovation. That's why. So then it becomes just an absolute...
Or this is the cheaper...
Just trying to choke them out.
What's cheaper? Drowning them out legally or actually making a good product? Drowning them out legally is usually the better product.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
It's true.
So I think that's where it's going. And I think that's a huge problem. Now, one thing, again, I'll go back to that topic of something I think is going to get me in some flack.
At Ronin Geekery on Twitter, people. Go ahead and shout at us.
I'm sorry, Raised by Spoilers hosts.
Oh, interesting. He's talking about Rich.
I'll next time he talks to me, I'm sure I'll get his
Rich,
opinion on this
a.k.a.
one.
Other Rob. That's right. I said it. He's fuming right now. If he's listening, he's fuming right now. He's just losing his mind. I'm looking at you, buddy. I said it.
I don't think the statement that Critical Role was good enough. So I do not watch Critical Role, but as I've talked many times recently, I adore Vox Machina, the cartoon series on Prime, and I adore the actors. Yeah, I adore the things they shell out their money for. Not the community they build. Yep. They build a very positive energy. I fucking love them. Yeah. They're adorable people. They're such a nice group of friends, and they contribute to a lot of good causes and things like that. And I have nothing bad to say about them. Nothing. I got nothing that can. Yeah. I don't watch the show, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means I don't watch it. I don't have 4 hours a week.
That's right.
But I was not happy with their statement.
Yeah, I thought it was fairly ambiguous. I don't know.
Definitely ambiguous. And the statement they generally, the world is making is, well, because they're contractually obliged not to make a statement.
Gotcha.
No. They're monetarily obliged not to make a statement. Yeah. Because if they do make a statement, they'll break that contract.
Fair enough.
Which is money to them. So really, it's not the contract that's stopping them. It's the money that came along with the contract.
Sure.
So they make a statement of we work for creators. Yeah. You're not fucking acting like it. Clearly you care more about the money than you do about the creator.
Well, I mean, a lawyer somewhere probably told them not to attack it.
Because they want money. Yeah. They went, you have a choice. You're going to lose this contract, which will lose you X dollars, probably in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, like, WOTC could also seek remuneration.
Oh yeah,
as well.
I'm sure somewhere in their contract that they have, because they're partnered with them for D&D Beyond and stuff.
Correct.
That they have, you cannot talk shit about us.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm sure they have that in the contract. So obviously, if they made a certain kind of statement, they would scratch that off.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. First of all, WOTC has now made a statement saying no creator will be punished for saying their open opinions. They've openly said that to all the creators. They sent out an email to all the YouTubers. Now, they're not on the same contract as Critical Role, but here's the deal. Critical Role are kingmakers.
What's that tied to? Is that tied to the OGL?
No, a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of the creator content people on YouTube were bashing the OGL and WOTC. And basically, WOTC, part of their statement, they sent out an email directly to the YouTubers that said, hey, listen, we understand you're not happy. This sucks, blah, blah, blah. We want you to know, say whatever you want. Yeah. We support you. We're not going to punish you for, we have relationships where we send you products and stuff to review. We are not going to punish you as a creator for speaking against us. Okay.
That's cool.
This was a cool statement they made. Yeah, I mean, it was vague and legalese and so on and so forth, but still, it was a fair statement. Yeah. So they said that Critical Roles, because they have a separate contract, still aren't saying anything. Yeah. So I think the problem is that Critical Role is a kingmaker. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, Critical Role is what made D&D 5e as popular as it is, even more than Stranger Things.
I think you're right. Yeah,
by a large margin.
Absolutely.
If Critical Role decided right now, they came out with a statement and said, we're moving to Call of Cthulhu. Yeah. The sales of Call of Cthulhu will outweigh D&D.
Correct.
No problem. It'll skyrocket past D&D.
It's an installed audience, like millions of people deep.
Yeah. So they're the kingmakers. Yep. They're the ones that whoever they run on, they're defining. If they keep going with D&D and they're doing and supporting D&D Beyond and this cost and this new OGL, guess what? They're encouraging it and allowing it. They're not for creators.
If they switch over to Call of Cthulhu, I'm all in. Yeah, I'll start listening.
That'd be an epic show. But they I think it's not an okay statement because to me, that statement was the legalese version of we like money. Sure. But we also don't want to upset people. Yeah. Like, well, no, sorry. Like,
I would have appreciated it more if they just said those words.
Yeah.
At least they're being honest.
We're legally not allowed to tell you. Sorry. We like money. Yeah. Like, okay, fine. I'm cool with that.
I like money. We have this in common.
Yeah, I get it. But I'm not happy with that. To me, that's one of the things that Critical Role has done is they've shown that much like WOTC, it's about the money, not about the hobby. Yep. And that's upsetting to me. Is a lot of people are backing and supporting Critical Role in that when I don't think they should.
Are they independent? Is there a network that owns them or something like that?
I think they're independent now.
Oh, are they really? Okay.
I think they're independent now. But they do have books and products out that tie to, and they have contracts with WOTC because WOTC sells them and they sell each other.
Because they're managing the
They're
brand.
very closely related. They're more than any other third-party product. They have a close relationship.
So where do third-party companies like Paizo stand on this then?
So the good news is they've created there's hilariously enough, Paizo I think saw this coming many, many years ago. And so when they moved to...
They would have been smart to set up for a future when this would happen.
Yeah, and I think first of all, I think legally they're willing to fight for the fact that you cannot, overturn the old OGL.
Yep.
And what's hilarious is many of the people that work at Paizo, the owners of Paizo, were the people that created the original OGL.
Yeah.
When they were at WOTC.
Yeah.
And their lawyers are the lawyers that created the first OGL too.
Interesting.
So it'd be real easy argument for those lawyers, for these people to show up at the courtroom and say, you can't speak the deep magic to us. We were there when it was written. You know what I mean? Like it's an easy, I think that's an easy legal battle. So I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think that'll be safe. It just means, unfortunately, these third-party companies will have to spend money defending it.
That's right.
But they've protected themselves in a clever way.
Yeah.
In two ways. One, for myself, because I'm a Pathfinder guy, Pathfinder 2E doesn't need OGL. Doesn't give a fuck about it.
Because it makes no references, right, to the content?
It doesn't make any legal readable references.
Yeah.
They apparently, and they've come out and said this, that the OGL that they included in the back of the book, because they did include the OGL, they did that so that other third-party creators can make stuff for them. They did it not to connect themselves to D&D, but to allow other people to connect themselves to them.
Nice.
And they're like, we can just take it out. And that's exactly what they're doing. They decide, well, I guess we're just not using OGL.
Yeah.
We're gonna
because they're not using D&D terms, characters, monsters.
Nothing that's
everything's
licensable.
original at this point.
Yeah, nothing that's licensable. I mean, they use strength and wisdom and stuff like that, but those are rules. You can't license that.
Yeah. Or like a dice. Like anybody can get a 20-sided dice.
Yeah, exactly. It's not special. It's not legally bindable.
Right.
So they instead have decided to lead the charge on creating their new open game license. I always forget the title of it, but the summary is Orc.
Okay.
They call it Orc, which I guess last referenced, it was 1,500 third-party companies are putting themselves towards it.
Nice.
You can just call it Orc. Just look up.
Called System Neutral.
Yeah, that's not the name of it. It stands for Orc. I forget what they call it. Open content, open something content, or I forget what it's called.
Open content.
Open RPG creative license.
Ooh, there it is. Okay.
Open RPG creative. That's
name.
what it comes from.
Catchy name, Orc. That's good.
Yeah, very clever. Yeah. And I think what they're doing is very smart. They recognize, because remember, these are the people who created the OGL.
Yes.
And they went, we see how we screwed up that legal thing.
Yeah.
Okay. How can we make this next version the same thing but better, more protected from corruption?
Interesting how they get a second pass at it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so what they did was they're instead going to fund there's going to be a nonprofit that is going to own the Orc.
That's awesome.
So that nonprofit, no company, if Paizo ever sells, right, for any reason, that new parent company can't do what Hasbro's
So the
doing.
new parent company will be set up as like a 401c3 or whatever, and let's say charitable organization in the States, and it's just the keepers of. That's awesome.
That's it. And so everyone can just use it this way. No matter who owns it, no matter what happens between these third-party companies behind Paizo, who buys and sells, the Orc is protected and separate from those companies.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if knowing that development, I mean, and the fact that Pathfinder is an extremely robust world and game and lots of content available for it, I don't know why the Critical Role guys wouldn't just make the jump.
Okay,
just to prove a point.
I'll be. You're right. I obviously I'm on Camp Pathfinder.
Yeah.
I have a very. I don't think that's secret. That is my favorite.
If you showed me both books, D&D and Pathfinder, as someone who doesn't know a ton about it, and you took the titles off the cover and said which one is which, I'd be like, I don't fucking know. They look the same to me. So I would guess there's a lot of people out there like me who have a tangential interest in it, or who would watch or listen to Critical Role, right? Who wouldn't need to know, who wouldn't give a shit about it. You know, that's probably the bulk of their audience is people who wouldn't give a shit.
The problem is, and I think why Critical Role made the decision to move from Pathfinder, because Critical Role originally, and this is one of those famously touted statements, they started in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
they made the jump, I think, for a very good reason.
Oh, they did start in Pathfinder?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they were originally Pathfinder.
Crazy.
When they started going live with like Nerdist and Geek and Sundry and stuff like that, I think they made the right call, which was they moved to D&D when they went live. And that's because D&D as a first show, because if you sit there and you're saying like, okay, well, I got this buff, and you're looking through reference documents of buffs and unbuffs and combat's more deep and crunchy.
Yeah.
That's not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch. It's fun to play. I like it playing with my friends. Like, you get this buff. We're working together to come up with this big plan where someone gets really big numbers and boom, they get the big Kamehameha blast off and it looks fucking epic.
Sure.
That's fun at the table. It is not fun on TV to watch. And so I think they made the right call when they moved to D&D 5e.
Okay.
Because D&D 5e was very, for streamlining for a show. Yeah. For a show. But I don't think it's a better game. I think it's a really good introduction, but I don't think it's a better game.
Okay. Gotcha.
At least more than 2e. If you talk about 1e, I can definitely see why there's like two camps. Yeah. They're different. They each have their benefit and losses, and they're different. And I totally get that. 2e, I find like, why are you even doing 5e anymore? You got 2e. It's all the best of Pathfinder with the best of D&D in one. But I understand why it's like that. I understand why Critical Role does it. And now at this point, it's because they have contractual ties and relationships with WOTC, because WOTC's pumping money into for advertising. Totally. So I get why they're doing it. But no, I think we're creating a new generation of WOTC haters. Yeah. I grew up around a bunch of people going, fuck WOTC, they fucked us in 4E, and they felt burned and betrayed.
5e and OGL and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. They still hold that flame of hatred. Like, honestly, half of Pathfinder, this is something I learned through all this, is half of the Pathfinder lovers' identity is hatred of WOTC. Like, that's how they identify themselves. Yeah. It's hilarious. So I think this is creating an all new generation of that.
Makes sense. They probably deserve it too. So
they probably do. So I think it's ultimately, I think this is here's my problem. A lot of people say it's a positive change, and I think that's good because that protects me with people who like Paizo and stuff like that. Yeah. But given the fact that after all of this, about 40,000 people lost, unsubscribed from D&D Beyond from all of this. About that.
No shit.
Now that sounds like a lot, right?
It does.
That is 0.8% of the people that were subscribed.
So certainly they probably worked out what they thought they would lose, and so far it's less than that.
Yeah. So if they are proposing to have about 10 million people subscribe.
Burn-in of this would be like, 3%, 4%, 5%, and they're not even at a single full point yet.
Yeah, and if you consider how many people are not actually paying those subscriptions,
man,
imagine if all of them had to bring in at least $6 now. Yeah. Though that 1% loss is well worth the 60%,
Well, it's the difference between like a $10 million property and like a $100 million property. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's literally, it's that much of a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to get away with this.
100 million to 1 billion. Like, who knows?
Yeah. I think what's going to happen is they're going to, I'll be clear, because now we kind of know the dust is settled. We know where things are going now. Yep. We can go and review the OGL all we want. We know what's going to happen. We know what they're not going to change. Yeah. So there's no point in arguing over it anymore. Yeah. I think what's going to happen is they're going to go the way they do. They're going to make a fucking bank load of money. Yep. Because there's most people that don't care about this OGL stuff and don't think about it. And there's a lot of people that just pay subscription fees in video games.
Based on Twitter trends, it would appear that a lot of people do care.
But that's just people who are voiced. There are so many people who don't say anything. Yeah, maybe. The silent majority that just buy books and don't think about it. Yeah. And most people don't think about that. And they're like other video games where they pay subscription fees to games that don't give them the quality of product that they're asking for. Fair enough. The freedom. How many people play shitty and feed so much money into shitty mobile games? Yeah, true. Without thinking about it. True. These are those same people. Yeah. And what's going to happen is they're going to pay into it. WOTC's going to make their money. They're going to lose the old guard, the people who want to be at the tabletop. But those people are going to go to other systems. They're going to go to the Cobalt Press's new system. They're going to go to Paizo. They're going to do all this other stuff. So you're just creating this strong split between the new guard of subscription fees and digital and the old guard. And that's how it's going to be. And when the old guard dies off, when we're done, it's going to disappear. You know what I mean? Because that's not monetarily feasible in this new world.
That's right.
We know that. Companies know that. Yeah. It's going to die off because it's just not going to... You're going to have the people who are stringently, morally tied to it. Yeah. And when they're done, it's done.
That's right. Only time will tell.
I think WOTC's won. They own it. They have it. They're going to have what they want. And the rest of us are going to toil in our own little world until we die.
That's a bright outlook.
It's
Very bright outlook. Very good. So, well, hey, at least now we know where it's headed. So that's good. That's good. Something less dramatic, playing and/or watching. What have you been playing? What have you been watching?
Chained Echoes.
Okay, gotcha.
I think I mentioned it last time too.
Yeah.
I have completed it.
Oh, okay. So this was the classic style RPG?
Yeah, classic style RPG. One of the best games I've played in a very long time.
Nice. And you were playing on Switch?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It's on pretty much everything.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's the best way I can describe it, Chrono Trigger with mechs instead of time travel.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm in. That's sweet. That's awesome.
It was so good. The combat felt punchy and quick while being turn-based. It was turn-based, and it felt energetic, and every combat felt a little bit different.
Was this made by one man?
For the most part. It was
Okay.
published by a company, and it was mostly written and managed, but it had some extra programmers, had some extra audio directors, but it was all written by, and the ideas it spawned from one man's head.
Yeah, so Matthias Linda is the developers. That's likely the person who came up with the story as well.
Yeah,
Published by Deck 13 Spotlight.
He did all the writing,
German.
the dialogue, and everything too.
Yeah, this is a German company, and they've been around for a long time. I'm looking for something big that we would know.
They did Lords of the Fallen.
Okay.
Some people might know that one.
Yeah. The Surge, Venetica, but they go way back.
But if you look at go to look at Deck 13.
Deck 13?
Yeah, so go to the publishing company. Oh, you are looking at Deck 13.
Yeah, this is what I'm looking at.
Oh, there was something else I saw that they go to the developer? Focus Entertainment. So the parent of Deck 13 is Focus Entertainment.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So
that's
Deck
a
13
big
is a
movie
subs-
house. Yeah.
Yeah, and games as well.
Yeah.
So they're on the side there. So this isn't like brand new. It's just a subset,
Yeah.
an indie subset of a bigger company. But no, the big thing here is Matthias.
Okay.
And it is such a nod. Actually, it is such like a good nod, but
No, sorry. This company is different from Focus Films.
Yeah, it is.
This company only does games.
yeah. So they have this interesting thing where they play homage and they wear their inspiration on the sleeve.
Okay.
So much so that the first starting entrance is your character waking up in basically a recreation of Chrono's bedroom.
Okay. Nice.
And your mother comes and opens up the curtains, is like, oh, can you hear that beautiful sound? And you wake up, you're like, it's time to wake up, Glenn. And you're like, and Glenn, named after the frog from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
He wakes up and his mom's like, okay, it's time to go. He's like, oh, okay. And he's kind of waking up. And the mom goes, all right, it's time to wake up. He's like, I am up. No, it's time to wake up. And she just slaps him.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then it wakes up to like the
yeah.
game thing.
Yeah.
And it turns out he was sleeping. So they pay homage to it
That's
in a very clever way.
clearly all homage to Chrono Trigger, and yet Chrono Trigger is not listed on the Wikipedia as one of his favorite games.
That's hilarious. No, there's so much Chrono Trigger in this. And yeah, there's Suikoden. He mentioned that. Final Fantasy 4.
Yep.
Or 6, sorry. Xenogears. He famously, he did an interview or a discussion or like a whatever, where he commented that this game's release was delayed because of a Xenogears release, and he wanted to finish the Xenogears game.
That's
after
awesome.
His release.
Good for him, man. Good for him. Oh man, that's awesome.
So no, it was honestly, Alex, this is one of those things where I know you well enough. You need to play this game.
Oh no, I'm all in on it. Yeah, I definitely am going to play it. Yeah, some other things just popped up for me. You're definitely going to slow that down, but yeah.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
It's so good. It is the closest thing I have felt to the way I felt when I played Chrono Trigger for the first time.
Nice. Hell yeah, man. How's it? Is it like different endings, worth a second play, stuff like that?
No, I think there's only one ending.
Okay, very good.
So I don't think it's worth much of a second playthrough. They don't have any New Game Plus. Supposedly they're going to add stuff like that.
How many characters do you get to play as?
Oh, 8, 10-ish.
Okay, cool.
10, 12-ish.
That's awesome. Okay.
It's really cool because you can have 8 people in your party at one time.
Yeah.
And I think about 2 or 3 just kind of off the party. So.
Okay. Cool.
The combat is so good. They have this like action bar at the top, this overdrive bar, which when you're in overdrive, so it's like yellow, blue, or yellow, green, and then red.
Yeah.
When you're in the green section, certain abilities bring your overdrive up and certain abilities bring your overdrive down.
Yep.
And what happens is every turn that cycles. So sometimes when you do an offensive ability, because of where you are in that turn,
Yeah.
that will bring up your overdrive.
Okay.
But in the next turn, it might bring down your overdrive.
Yeah.
And the problem is you're fighting this balance where you're trying to stay within the green, and there's yellow over here and red over here.
Yeah.
If you're in the yellow, everything's 1%.
Yep.
If you're in green, your abilities cost less and do more damage, and you take less damage.
Nice.
If you're in the red, you take double damage. Your abilities cost double amount.
Beautiful.
So you're playing this little game of every turn making decisions based on what you should be doing, buff based on that overdrive bar. So it makes every turn feel a little bit different, even though it kind of still feels the same.
Yeah. Love it. I love the classic look and feel of it. Looks awesome. Definitely will be into this one very soon. So after a couple other things I got going on.
I don't think it's gotten enough love as it should. If you're not sure if you're into this game, go check out Turtle Race in Chained Echoes. A clip of the Turtle Race in Chained Echoes.
okay.
It will sell you on this game.
Gotcha. I love that, like Chrono Trigger, it looks like the battles take place on the same map you're running around.
They absolutely do.
That's cool. That's cool where the
they
enemies
absolutely
kind of spread out. And
Yep.
Yeah,
They
that's cool.
absolutely
That's
do.
cool.
Yep.
Lots of love to Chrono Trigger in this. Looks awesome. Love the look of the characters as well.
Each character gets their own story and growth and everything like that.
Beautiful.
And it is hard to say who is the main character.
Damn, maybe this one will be moving up my list, actually.
I really think it should.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Anyway, so I'm all in on that. Cool. What else? What have you been watching?
That's it. That's all I got.
That's it?
That's all I'm going to bring up.
So, well, if I was just going to bring up one thing more in detail, film I missed in theaters last year, The Menu. So that just dropped on streaming services. Pretty good. I really enjoyed it. So definitely a weird offbeat horror film.
Who's the main actor in that one?
Ralph Fiennes.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
what I was mentioning earlier, right? And very cool horror film. Definitely a bit unexpected in terms of how much I liked it. So it's quite dark. It's quite dark.
Really?
Yeah, so I won't go into spoilers or anything. But there definitely is it definitely is setting its own pace. And then there's a point, it's one of those points in a film where you're just like, oh, fuck, everything just changed kind of points in the movie. It's one of those, but it offers you some of that as well. And boy, if you're listening to this and you go home and watch it right now, because I think it's on Disney Plus if you're in Canada. It's probably on Hulu in the US then. Oof. So yeah, I would say just check it out because it's wild, man. Very
I find
good.
that weird that movie's on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Well, it's because of Star. Star is on Disney Plus in Canada. Oh. So in Star, it takes a lot of the Hulu content from the US. So,
that's true.
Yeah, that's
that
where it
makes
ends
sense.
up. So the 20th Century Fox tie-in. So anyway, yeah, it's got a lot of good actors in it too. Anya Taylor-Joy's in it, and then
Anna Taylor-Joy. That's who I knew was in it.
Yeah. She's quite good at it as well. And just a good cast, good movie, good horror flick. Definitely satisfying. So I would highly recommend watching.
Is it more classical horror or is it more psychological horror?
Psychological. Well, I mean, a little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I mean, there's some shocking on it, and then just some psychological stuff. So.
Yeah, because there's like body horror, which is The Thing. There's the unknown horror, which is Alien.
Less on the body horror side. Yeah. So this is just more like that sort of
Saw's body horror, I think.
Yeah, this is more of just like that sickening like the walls are closing in kind of feeling. Like there is no escape kind of feeling. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
So.
Yep. Okay.
So it's cool horror though. So I really liked it. Just such an original movie, and Ralph Fiennes just chef's kiss, pun intended. Pun intended. He nailed it. He just absolutely nails it in this. So
I'm guessing he's a cannibal then, based on the title.
No, weirdly no, but he is a good bad guy. I'll tell you that.
All right, fair enough.
So yeah, he's a good antagonist. And then for games, the ones that are getting in the way. Fucking finally, Persona 3 and 4 just dropped on all the extra consoles. So I've been waiting for this for literally years. You realize Persona 4 Gold came out on the Vita. Okay. So maybe the PS2 before that, but definitely the Vita was the first release that I played for Persona 4 Golden. This would have been 2011 ish. Didn't have another release until Steam 2 years ago. Persona 4 Golden came out. Made a bit of a splash, too. Did very well for itself on Steam. So, and then another 2 years goes by. Finally on a mainstream home console. It just dropped on everything recently. And I think Persona 3 and 4 are free to play right now if you're on Xbox Live as well. So, kind of a cool thing there. I ended up getting it on a Switch, the bundle together. And honestly, I cannot wait to play these games again. It's been so long. Persona 4 Golden... It's in my top 5 favorite games of all time. Like it's somewhere.
Is it better than what was the one that they call it Royal? Persona 5?
Persona 5 Royal, yes.
With Joker?
Yeah.
It's better than that?
It's better. Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll have to give my wife Amanda.
I thought the characters were more compelling. I appreciated that Persona 5 it because of the nature of the team and what they're out to do. Like the Broken Hearts Club or what are they called?
I've literally never played a Persona game.
Oh no shit.
Or Shin Megami Tensei. What's it
Shin
called?
Megami
Shin
Tensei.
Megami Tensei.
Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei, very different. Same kind of idea with Monster Fusion. And
Well,
shit
it's
like
a
that,
spin-off, so I mentioned it. But no, I've never played any of it.
Well, Persona's the spin-off, yeah. It's but Persona 4 Golden is as far as JRPGs go, it's kind of, I mean, to me, it's like one of the pinnacles. It's like one of the absolute peaks of JRPGs. I don't know that they could make that style of game better.
It still
than they
uses
made Persona 4.
It's kind of like Persona Pokemon type mechanics.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the Monster Fusion's all in there and all that shit. Yeah, that's mainstay of the series. But more compelling than that are the characters in this, and I think this is some of the most well-written characters in the history of gaming appear in Persona 4 Gold.
Is this the one where I think we were talking about? I think it was one of our 69 episodes or something like that. We were talking about the girls we liked. There was one, I think she wears like a green sweater, red hair.
Chie.
Is that 4?
Yeah, Chie. Yeah, Persona 4 Golden.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't remember her being in 5, so she must have been 4.
what an absolute compelling character. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. Is like you could actually see, like, you know, you're in high school, you know, there's all these girls around or whatever. Like this, you know, it's just but it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it just makes sense in the context that it's in. Whereas I feel like in other Persona games, it just makes less sense because it's cool because like in Persona 4 Gold, you're not in Tokyo, you're in like some far-flung like podunk town that you got stuffed in Japan, right? Is in the countryside.
Okay.
So you're like, you know, you're the kid, you're the main character. You had to go live with, you know, your aunt and uncle or whoever out there, and it's just lame. You know,
you're in a new environment.
Yeah, and so it's just very, very good in that regard. The way it places you there, the way that it kind of opens up as you go through the game, and then
now I know menu style and UI mostly style. Persona 5 got a big rap for the...
Persona 5 is the peak of that in terms of like the gameplay portion, but in terms of just how much I enjoy the game and how compelling I think the characters are and how well they're written and the stories that go along with that, Persona 4 Gold.
So you'd say 5 is a better mechanical game, 4 is a better story.
Yeah.
And a better character.
Yeah. Definitely more compelling.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely more compelling. So highly recommend it. Definitely play it. That's the one thing that's about to pull me off The Witcher again, because I'm playing The Witcher 3, and which I'm almost kind of done with now at this point. I'm already getting like the Grandmaster crafted armor and shit like that. Like I'm already kind of at the end of it again. And honestly, Witcher might end up being a once-a-year play for me.
Yeah, you're going to keep coming back?
It's
on the Switch.
I think it's my favorite game of all time.
Oh my god!
Like,
I can't believe you're playing it on the Switch.
It's good on the Switch.
I can't believe it.
So, dude, okay, so
you're such a dad.
I am. I can't help it. So, but look, okay, when I played Skyrim on the Switch, noticed immediately like the drop in like things appearing around you, like even like grass, and plants, and draw distance and things like that. In The Witcher, it's like everything's fairly close to you when you're running around, but I don't know what they've done to make this run as well as it does on the Switch, but it runs beautifully. I've had a crash here and there, no big deal, just reload it, good to go. But in terms of like the graphics and what's in the distance and things like that,
that's amazing.
It looks great. That's the fucking shocking thing. Like, I don't understand how they got this game to work this well on the Switch.
That it's impressive.
It makes no sense.
It's super impressive.
Even in like the battles with a lot of characters, there's no slowdown. Like, I don't understand it. So anyway, word of the wise, like if you get a good enough company to do your port, you can get anything to run on the Switch.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. It's not like it really shows up the Pokemon games.
I tell you what, man, this thing is better looking and runs faster than Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. I'll tell you that. So yeah, shockingly good. Anyways, that's my playing and watching. That's what I've been up to. So it's
fair enough.
Beautiful. So is that it?
I think that's it.
We are at the end of an episode, folks. So if you want to, you can go on to the Twitter. Hit us up at Ronin Geek and shout at us on there. I'm on there. Adam's on there. We'll shout back. And we'd love to know your opinions. If you agree, disagree, think Harry Potter's dead, think it's going to go on forever, let us know. We'd love to know. We'd love people going on there and shouting at us. And of course, if you have the chance, please listen to sister podcast, Raised by Spoilers podcast. So please listen. It's a great movie-themed podcast. Definitely dives deep into some offbeat movies. What's the next movie you're doing?
The next one will be Vampire Hunter D.
Vampire Hunter D! Diving back into the anime. It's a beautiful thing. Actually, you guys haven't done an anime.
Nope, this is the first one.
Beautiful. And then also, if you can, please listen on Bitcade Podcast app. You can find it on iOS and Android. Please listen on there. And when you look up Ronin Geek Official Podcast, please consider unlocking our bonus content and monetizing us as well. We'd love you forever. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.